We'll get started in just a minute. I did want to tell everybody, I'm sorry for the meeting being rescheduled. There was a procedural issue that came up that potentially prevented this meeting from occurring at all, so we felt best that we postpone it and reschedule it. And so here we are, and with that, we will get started. And the other thing I didn't find was a flag.
Well, we can.
Don't look at me, I'm sorry, I didn't bring it.
I know.
Nothing in the law says you have to have it to say pledge allegiance to it.
That's true. Charlotte, you got that one started?
Yep.
Okay, I've got 6:31. We're going to call this meeting of the City of San Diego City Council to order. We'll take a quorum call. Alderman Tremblay.
Here.
Alderwoman Gillespie.
Here.
Alderman Tomasini.
Here.
And Alderwoman Tanguma.
Here.
And we have a quorum. We're going to start with citizens to be heard. I don't, oh, sorry. We're going to pledge allegiance.
Where's our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now we will go to citizens to be heard. First up is Jim Clement, who wants to talk. You want to wait? Okay. Next up would be Dawn Allison, who wants to talk about the ordinance prohibiting the sale, use, and/or storage of fireworks within the city.
I have not liked that situation since it first began. It's absolutely the ugliest corner ever. To have a temporary shack sitting right at the entrance to our city is a disgrace. It is full of trash. It never gets mowed until it's time to sell fireworks. Now, what is that, twice a year? Or am I wrong? Maybe it's 3 times a year. So are we supposed to stare at this mess for the whole rest of the year? I don't think so. I don't like it. It needs to go away, and it never needs to come back.
Thank you. Ken Carden. No item, term limits?
Yeah, I'd like to, the reason why I think that term limits should be looked into is since I've been associated with it, the whole purpose of becoming a city was fire, police protection, and animal rescue. And I've been to several meetings, and I've seen a lot of stuff that I didn't think was imperative to be dealt with at the time. That we should have focused on the main issues that founded us as a city, and we've got so far away from it. That I think that the infusion of new blood versus the same old that we had with the WPPO that is now on the alderman, I'm not very satisfied with. And the other thing that really concerns me is this WPPO stuff is supposed to have been gone, still here, it's still lingering. It should be on the forefront, and yet we got another $90 bill in the mail. And raise taxes at the first year, which I don't have a problem with, to support the city. But I do have a problem with supporting the WPPO, which should have been gone months ago. And we're still dragging our feet. So you have an opportunity for parks and roads, and it always gets pushed off in a meeting. I think it should be put on the forefront and settled. Instead of, let's sidebar it, let's do it another day. I can bring tons of these pieces of paper that's saying that we're going to address that another time. I think it needs to be on the forefront and handled quickly. Because a lot of people are very dissatisfied with this WPPO and anybody who's had an affiliation with it, even on the alderman and the council.
Thank you. Ernest Gay, he wants to talk about ordinances.
Yeah, one of the things, ordinances was just one of them. One of the things also the minutes as it applies to them being placed online. I understand that you're not going to place them online until they become approved, but the recordings of these minutes, they could be. And the ones for September, October, and November, the recordings aren't even there. We could at least listen to see what happened at the meeting. The other one here, the ordinances. I would like to see something placed on our website that shows proposed ordinances. When I was up here on this council, I got all those ordinances, I knew what was going on. Now, they're going to talk about an ordinance. We don't have any clue what that ordinance is written or what it's like. If one was placed on there that could be proposed, you could get some feedback, you could get some input. Of course, you're going to get nasty grams, that's going to happen, but you can always block those people later. The basic one, like tonight, was number 9 for the storage use and of the fireworks. Yeah, I agree, the fireworks stand is ugly, but we've had one since 1989 over there at Jack's Corner. And I doubt if you ever followed any regulations as far as storage or sale or anything on fireworks. We've had them. I think fireworks ordinance should maybe include something that would permit the use during specific times and prohibit use like this 2 weeks before, 2 weeks after. And the other one that you had was on the revisiting the one number 12, the burning of trash and what have you in the city. I was hoping that you were not considering also brush in that, because that's where most people, when they clear their lots, they burn it. It is almost prohibitively expensive to have that stuff hauled off. I understand the trash and the hazardous material. Yeah, let's not burn that. We don't need to. But as far as burning of the brush, follow county regulations. They have good regulations in force. You've got to be a certain number of feet away from the residence. You have to have water on site. And of course, there can't be emergency like that. Anyway, we moved out here in the country not to be regulated into oblivion. Let's try not to do that to us. Let's try to keep it as nice as possible for us. All right. That's all I have.
Diane Gay also would like to speak about ordinances.
The only thing I want to say is that when we first started coming to city, I heard a lot of people say that we should try to clean up the property. You know, have each person clean up their front yards, cut their grass and everything. And everybody said, oh yes, that's a great idea. You know, just because we don't have $1 million houses doesn't mean that we have to have them look like trash here. You know, it doesn't take much to clean up your yards. If your vehicle's not working, you know, if you're trash in the side or in the front, get rid of them. Have something done about that. You know, you should be proud of where you live. You should be proud of where your house and everything. You see so many nice houses, then you see one or two, it looks like a dump. And we should, you know, do something about that. That's all I want to say.
Kathleen Lamoureux Recio,
Okay,
potholes.
I want to speak about, not to seem redundant, but many neighbors do not have internet. Some have debilitating diseases or have work commitments. Has our city budgeted the possibility of doing a mailing directly to people's homes, even if it's just quarterly? The city council wants folks to be interested, involved, they need to be kept informed. I hate to sound redundant, but so many of these people are clueless to what is happening in our little city. Still, many have no idea that we are a city. This should have importance to all in council. What is the point of ordinances, agendas, matters of finance, environmental, etc., if only a small percentage, there's a lot more of us, know about it? I did receive responses from Mr. Tomasini saying there was nothing in the budget and he hasn't heard anybody say that we're unaware of the fact that we're a city. If you stand up in the middle of a crowd of Valero or in Dollar General and you ask how many people know you live in the city of Sandy Oaks, you're not going to see a lot of hands raised. A lot of people are going to still say, Sandy Oaks is a fire department, Sandy Oaks is an olive orchard. So as far as the animal control, I feel that animal control is not an animal problem, but a human problem. We're not just dealing with strays, but we're dealing with irresponsible pet owners, and with pet ownership comes the responsibility of vaccinations, and I feel that the animal should be spayed and neutered and microchipped so that they could be traced to the human owners.
If at large, those owners can then be held accountable. Pets need room to move and exercise. When tied up on a 5-foot leash for 365 days per year, they are a ticking time bomb, building with lack of socialization, and once free, they become violent and aggressive, so that they are not captured and returned to the same restraints that they just freed themselves from. Many animals are carrying parasitic pests, and they are emaciated from their owners starving them. Each morning, I watch my neighbors open their gates, allowing their pets to just roam and fend for themselves. This is what creates attack mentality. It's no wonder why they're so aggressive. If I was starving, sick, and neglected, I would probably act the same way. No one will provide you, and then Mickey's response was to this, no one will provide you additional clarification. What part of Toma do you not understand? Those items will be posted on the agenda and discussed at the meeting. When I try to reach out to City Council, that's the response I got from my name. And then, again, with the audio, cannot review the audio. I do not have internet at home. Mr. Gay, you remember I just told you this. My phone is my only audio. Therefore, I can't open those big files. And from what I understand, those files weren't available anyway. So, for the people who can't reach out on the internet, it's not available to them anyway. As far as trash, I'm concerned that people are burning hazardous materials. They're burning them over septic systems that are highly explosive. The smell is atrocious. What I'm concerned about with the trash is once Tiger Sanitation takes over, I feel that everybody should have to be forced to opt in. Because when it comes time for bulk pickup, I'll put out my bulk pickup knowing that even Tiger Sanitation is going to have limitations as far as asbestos and oil cans and car batteries and tires. I don't want neighbors who aren't paying for service dumping their garbage in my pile, and when it's not picked up, now I have the burden to bear to get rid of it. So I really want you to look into setting forth an ordinance that makes everybody across the board have to have trash service. And I think that's it in my notes. Oh, and I also want to speak with the marshal. I did a little research, and it's my understanding that to be a marshal, there's certain requirements, such as a bachelor's degree in law enforcement, with special training. I want to make sure that now that he's a paid servant, that he has all those qualifications moving forward. I also want to make a point to you, Mr. Marshall, that your white feather wheels on social media. When anybody who wants to ask a question to you or challenge our city council, you make innuendos that we better watch out when you become marshal. And I don't think that's professional, and I don't think that you know to support that type
For
of
one, I
behavior.
never made that.
I have a copy. I have a copy.
You need a hammer.
Where's
your gavel?
Excuse me, point of
If
order, point of
y'all-
order, thank you, thank you.
As soon as I bring up a point, I get interrupted, it's my turn to speak. It's my 3 minutes up.
You need to talk to us.
3 minutes.
You need to talk to us, not to anybody else.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next item on the agenda, financial report. The income and expenses will be recorded by City Clerk Ray.
Okay, our beginning balance was $43,316.22, less total expenses of $3,639.07, for deposits totaling $49,534.50, leaving us with a balance of $89,211.65.
Can you explain that's sales tax for that month, correct?
Right.
And then the deposit from Bear County was?
That's the ad valorem taxes. They're paying them as they come in.
Oh,
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
so that's what Bear County means?
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering what that was.
The financial statement posted on the website.
Can't.
It's up to Nikki.
Okay, so next on the agenda would be the marshal's report. I've asked our marshal to give us an update on where we are with getting the office established. So, Mr. Gutierrez, would you like to give us an update?
Mayor and Council, and members of the city. The Marshal's office at this point, we have finished creating the policy and procedures manual. That's the biggest, hardest step in creating the Marshal's office, because policy has to be put in place for the state to allow the Marshal's office to create. The next point, the next step is we have the legal department will forward this document. If it's found to be acceptable, then council approves it. Upon that approval, certain sections are pulled out, such as how to handle domestic violence calls, shootings. The state of Texas requires they get a copy of that policy for review. So my next step at this point is, because there's a 10 or 15 point list, Chief Coleman, among governor's all police departments in the state of Texas, and all police officers, they want a copy of certain things. I'll be providing copies of what's ever been approved, and of course, next major step will be having some place to store evidence, because one of the sticking points with the state is they have to have a secure facility to store evidence. At this point, we don't have that, but it's getting worked on. Some place to store that, and of course, something to patrol it, and that's also being worked on. So at this point, the hardest part is done, the policy and procedures manual, so that we have rules and regulations for the officers to abide by. So that is completed. So I will be, when the council says it's ready to go, I'll be forwarding that to the state with information to where we're going to be able to store our evidence that we collect, who's going to be our communication center. I'm in the works of discussing with their county, and using their 911 system to do our dispatch, and Wilson County as a secondary emergency operations center. For some reason, their county is not reachable. We have backup because Wilson County is so close. They'll act as our emergency point of contact if the officer needs to contact someone to get more help. I'm working on those two things right now. Y'all heard in the past that there was a vehicle available. That's still on hold. We're still working out the insurance on that. But the problem we have to someplace to store the park and a building to operate out.
The county.
Yes. So we're very close to getting kicked off. Once I get all this stuff together, it all gets submitted to the state. They'll approve it. Once they approve it, they'll issue an ID number to the agency. Once that is done, there's a few more things that have to be done. Like I mentioned, the emergency communications, equipment inside the vehicle, uniforms, all the equipment, all that's got to be purchased, and then staff. So we're at the most crucial part right here was getting that policy and procedure manual. Yes, ma'am.
How many hours a week will you be able to commit to the
Part-time.
city? Part-time is how
Everybody's
many,
part-time.
how many hours?
20 hours.
20 hours a week?
20 hours a week. It's not going to be a full-time agency for a long time.
So we'll still have support from Bear County?
Absolutely. But this is not going to be a full-time department. The way the marshal's office generally works, if you're anybody familiar with the San Antonio marshal's office, a marshal's office generally is a law enforcement agency, but they work closely with the municipal court. They do report security, warrants, and they basically work out of the municipal court, which is the job I currently do right now. Right now, we don't have a municipal court. That is, the program is also being created. And they're regular police officers, they can do anything anybody else does within the city. Ordinances, they can enforce ordinances, general state law, and as you mentioned, somebody gets treated, it goes to warrant status, they can go serve that warrant. There's not much difference between a regular police agency and a marshal's office, except that they work on the municipal orders. Does anybody have any questions?
Will there be other patrolmen? as far
Working on
as-
all that now. It's very hard to get people to work for free. When all you're promising them is a badge and an ID card, so they're so they don't lose all that training they got. But everybody has to start somewhere, and we're gonna be that training ground. We can see if we can get a bunch of young guys that want to do this, help us out, so we can get this office going. Remember, folks, I'm going to have one vehicle, and that's gonna be shared by, among how many officers I get.
I thought we had 2 vehicles.
One's a pickup truck, you can't use that to patrol, you can't secure somebody in a pickup truck. Safety. Would you want a prisoner next to you?
No,
I
I thought they were, no, I understand that, I thought they were both.
No, one's a regular patrol, the other one's a pickup. So right now, we only have one vehicle, and I'm not even sure that it's ready to go.
Okay.
we haven't seen it. All that's doing still work. Any other questions?
So we just call sheriff department.
Correct. It's gonna be years before we're a full-time department. The full-time police department takes roughly 30% of the income for a city because you're having to pay somebody constantly to be out. And we're just not there yet, man. So we're going to basically be here in the south to respond quicker to stuff. Bear County will be able to call somebody and say, hey, I have this situation. We'll be able to roll somebody in that situation at Bear County or the next nearest agency assist. I'm also going to contact all the neighboring, like Elmendorf, all the surrounding agencies for mutual aid, just like the fire department do. So if they need something, we can go respond to them and they can come help us. So a lot of paperwork still has to be done, a lot of agreements, and even the comms, the 911 system, all that has to be done by agency agreement. So all that still has to be done. The hardest part right now is creating the department where it's legal, where we can operate. Once that's established, the next hard part is getting all the little ducks in a row, getting the 911 operating system ready to go. Getting the staff and the uniforms. And of course, making sure you have that one vehicle ready to go. Because you have one vehicle, and if you're going to try with a few people to run a 24-hour car, on a nightly basis, that car's got to be ready to go and it's got to be a good car. But we'll get there, it's just going to take some time.
We've only got one vehicle. Is there any chance in the future of getting another one?
Absolutely. I'm working on seeing, I've contacted Wilson County, they're about to retire some vehicles. I'm seeing if they're willing to donate them to this agency.
Fantastic, great.
But I won't know anything for a few weeks. Since I work in Wilson County, I do know the sheriff there.
Yeah.
I was just told by some of the deputies today, they're retiring some of their fleet to talk to the sheriff. I haven't had a chance to talk to him yet, but now that they give me the information, I will talk to the sheriff and see what quickly we can get donated in. And we might be getting light bars, radio, stuff like that donated just because technology moves on and stuff gets put on a shelf. And, well, like anything else, you go to Goodwill, donate it, it's a tax write-off.
Yeah.
The only thing they can give us is be a tax write-off, but it's useful to us because we're just starting. So any safety piece of equipment for us, it's great.
And in my mind, anything you can get that's free is great.
And I'm still contacting people for a grant, seeing if we can get a
Pretty
grant
good.
for the cams that you're now seeing on the officers themselves.
Yeah.
Instead of just the audio video from the car, I'm trying to see if we can get a grant writer to help me get a grant for the cameras on the person.
Yeah.
So all this slowly coming together. But the first step, the procedure policy manual, which creates the office, is done. The hard part's over. I just have to have it approved by the legal department and then submit to the state so they can give us the okay to operate. Any other questions? Now,
Just an approximate timeline of how much longer you think this all
well, we have to have to build it, City Hall, which is important. Somebody should park that car because when the state says, where are you parking, where are you operating on? I have to have an address to give them. And they might even want to inspect it. So until that's done, I'm working on all that other stuff that I mentioned, well, that's being worked on. That way it can all come together instead of waiting, sir.
Do the deputy marshals have to be approved just by you or the city council?
Just by me. Most police chiefs do have the authority to appoint anybody other. I do have experience through my department approving applications and doing the hiring process. I'm extremely strict. I'm even stricter than the FBI background check. I do, when I was not doing part of the hiring for the city clerk, I would go visit relatives, neighbors, you know, anybody I can get a hold of, including answers, just to hear what they have to say about you, what type of person you are. Contact former jobs, and gigs. See if you write anywhere in your application, you got a job, you ever use drugs, things of that nature. I want to know who you are before I hire you. So it would take me almost 5 months to complete an application because I want to make sure we're getting a good person and not bringing a problem on board. And tickets. So I really just going to take a lot of those applications. I'm just not going to just hire anybody. I want to make sure that since They're going to be by themselves. They're safe to be out, and they're not violating your rights just because they're bad champions and they feel that they have the authority since nobody's supervising them, since they're going out, that they can lean on the public. I agree with you, I said, I don't do it, and I don't want my staff to do it either. It's a bad thing, the light, when you get that on the law enforcement. So I'm going to do the best that I can, make sure we get good people.
Thank you, Mr.
We're good.
Gutierrez.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, number 6 on the agenda is the consent agenda. We have 4 items on there. If any of the council members want to pull any of the items, then after I read them, we can address that, and then they'll be addressed individually. Did I say 5? 4, sorry. There's 4 items. The first one is to discuss and consider approval of the minutes from September 2nd of the special city council meeting. The second is to discuss and consider approval of the minutes from the October 8th regular city council meeting. Number 3 is discuss and consider approval of the minutes from November 12th regular city council meeting. And number 4 is to approve the payment invoice number 1091 for Casan and Ortiz. Oh, that's what I thought. I had number 5. And number 5 is to approve reimbursement to Mayor Ball for printing and supplies totaling $219.62. Is there any item on here that y'all want to pull from the consent agenda?
Can we just ask a question without pulling, or do we have to? The meeting for September the 2nd was continued until September the 8th. Does there have to be a separate?
I put it all in one.
I know, but since it was on a different date, does we have to approve it separately, or can it just be?
There should be separate meetings.
I mean, because it was the same meeting, it was just continued.
Yes.
Minutes are convened.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least indicating that the meeting was held on September 8th.
So we can approve that one as is. Is it noted on there on the September 2nd? That it continued? No, perfect. Do we need to amend the agenda to reflect September 8th or September 2nd and September 8th?
No, because we wouldn't have the opportunity to post it. So I would separate the September 8th minutes, although it's continued, since that one was not on the agenda. And to have it considered.
Even though it was
the next-
continued from the original?
Yeah.
So we need to pull item 1?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't write them as 2 separate minutes, though.
Well, we can just approve what was done on the first day. That's
See, that's how I
We're
did
only
it.
pulling the 8th, but the 2nd is good.
Okay, see, I did it as one continuous
I know,
one, yeah, okay.
So we'll have to put September 8th on the next agenda. Okay, so. Y'all all get a chance to look through. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda items, or do y'all need some more time? I know. Did you not print the revised agenda?
I printed the one that was on the internet, on the website.
You did say that. I think it was a refresh.
I don't have 5 either.
This one's in the book, was the old one. Huh.
I don't have if there was a revised one, I don't have it either.
It was emailed.
Well, I mean, I can use hers. That's fine.
That's the only thing that changed was item 5.
Okay.
I make a motion with the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Alderman Tremley to approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Is Ada here from Gonzales de la Garza? Yes. Hi. Next item on the agenda is a presentation by Gonzales de la Garza for engineering services and possibly discuss and take possible action.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having us right through this. I also have one of my engineering next time, and also council. Thank you for having us here today, and citizens. I apologize, I didn't bring enough, but I did bring a statement of our qualifications, and I can definitely email this to you, Mayor.
Oh, we can,
and,
sure.
You could send it.
You have to say that.
Okay.
Oh, you have? Here, we'll pass it down.
But I can give you my card. I do have plenty of it. Thank you. Thank you. So thank you again for having us here today. We've actually been following you guys from your incorporation as a city until today, and congratulations once again. I know it's a big effort. We have some experience with the city of Von Army. We actually assisted them as well from when they were looking at incorporating as a city to where they are today. And despite some of the conflicts they've been having, we've been able to kind of sift through those things and continue to help them on the engineering side. And so that's why I'm here today. We're a civil engineering firm. We also provide survey services as well as some construction. And so we were successful with assisting the city of Von Army with their initial infrastructure master plan and developing that. And then from that, we were able to assist them with acquiring some projects through the master plan. And so we're familiar with smaller upstarting cities and assisting them kind of, muddy through those waters to acquire funding through Bear County and CDBG and so forth to get some projects underway. Some of the projects that we assist them with are corridors reconstruction. We're looking at eventually doing a detention pond. We assisted them with their fire station, recent Marshall building that just got put up, and a trail, a walking trail. And then we're also looking right now at some, assisting them with another roadway that's near a railroad, and that's had some safety concerns. And we're actually working with UPLR as well. And I was looking through your agenda, and I see that there's some developers that, are possibly looking at, maybe building in your city. And one of the things that we assist Von Army with is as developers come in, that's a great thing, and you want that, you want to attract those, but you also want to make sure that whatever they develop is done the right way. So you want to make sure that drainage is done properly, that utilities are brought in properly, so that you're not just left with something, that's insufficient at the end of the day. So that's another area that we can assist you with as well. And also, I just wanted to bring, we have our statement of qualifications in there. Besides the city of Von Army, we've also worked with the city of Leon Valley on their street maintenance project. We were on that for 4 years. And we've developed a street maintenance program for the city of Von Army. I think a gentleman was talking about ordinances. We look at developing engineering ordinances for the city as well. So again, once people start coming in, developers start coming in, which they're going to want to do, and that's a good thing again for the city, but you want to make sure that some of these items are done properly. Again, you don't want to be left with something that you have to pay for later on, or that isn't sufficient or up to your standards. And so we'll work with the city, not only the council, but also citizens as well. We want to get y'all's input too as we go through some of these. So we have a great relationship with Bear County. with the commissioner and some of the other divisions there at the county as well, as far as like CDBG and so forth, so, and flood control. So, you know, if there's any of those issues that the city is having, we turn to them and look for them for possible funding as well. So, we're right here headquartered in downtown San Antonio. I think it took me maybe 20 minutes to get here, so we're not that far from you guys. And again, I just wanted to open it up to any questions. We'd appreciate the opportunity to possibly be your civil city engineer and assist you through some of these things as you go through. And it's always nice to have an engineer on board to bounce off, you know, some ideas, and then again, properly establish your city as you go forward on the engineering side. Matt, I brought Matt along too. He's worked actually with the city of Castroville, Castle Hills, Hill Country Village, and there was one more. Almost Park. So we got a plethora of engineers, not only myself, but within our firm that have also worked for smaller cities. So it's my passion. I love to see some of these cities, you know, up and coming and grow, but you also want to make sure you do it the right way and on the right foot. So, you know, that's kind of why we're here, and we want to assist you with that. So.
I do know that some of the questions that may come up pertain to the CDBG grant, and I just want to make sure that everyone understands that's not why you're here.
Correct. That's
Okay.
the one. Yes.
Yeah, because I talked with Jaime Contreras last week, and to get an update on where that's progressing, and he said that you guys would probably put a bid in for that, but it is going to be a bid.
Yes,
So-
ma'am. It's going to be a bid. It's going to be put out for RFQ, and then engineers will be able to put in their qualifications, and the city will be able to choose who they want. We're here to hopefully assist you as your city engineer, and if we are successful in that, to continue on with you providing our services for the master plan as well.
But for the commercial developments that people are wanting to bring into the city, your firm would be a good recommendation for them for surveys, things that they need to do to kind of follow the guidelines.
Oh, sure.
Perfect.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, definitely. And then I also brought, prior to becoming a city, I believe it was a different council, and this gentleman looks familiar, but we did assist with creating these maps for the city, and it just shows your city limits, and so we had helped Sandy Oaks out with when they were incorporating as a city, so that was a map that we had created for you guys, even before you were incorporated as a city. So that's some of the things that you do help as well with zoning and so forth.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, next on the agenda is Julio Martinez here. Julio Martinez, Mr. W's Fireworks, wants to speak related to the proposed ordinance prohibiting the sale of fireworks within the city limits.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, y'all. How you doing, everybody? I'm Julio Martinez, one of the owners of Mr. W Fireworks. We are a Christian veteran-owned company. We operate in 3 states. We have over 70 stores and 300 stands. We are in a lot of incorporated towns. We are in Cuero, we are in Von Army, we are on Santa Clara, and we've actually helped contribute to this city to make itself a city. So we actually like when little towns do that. It's good. It's good for the people that have their own city rules. But the reason for it today is you guys are proposing to ban the sale of fireworks in y'all city. And I apologize for my shack and the way it looks. And if you're wanting...
And the trash in front and behind.
And if you would have gave me a call, I gladly would send somebody that day. We are 25 minutes
You're
away.
driving low.
I don't ever, I meant, I drive
You're
all the
down
time.
low. You're responsible.
We have 300 stands, 7 stores. I can have these, all these places I want. If you were to give me a call, I would gladly take care of it. We've been considering moving it off-season in the back, out of your way, so you don't see it. Like I said, I can gladly put it on a maintenance schedule so that trees are trimmed and everything. Before we bought that property, it was a mess regardless. So, I mean, it wasn't us being there and now bringing trash, it didn't really change what it looked like. But I'll be more than happy to fix that and apply to the community. You know, we're just, like I said, we're a simple operation and we handle a lot of places at once. You know, I would love to have multiple meetings to take care of all the issues we have, you know, but it's not possible. If you have any questions or concerns that I can address right now, I'd love to, you know. Anybody? Mr. W. Fireworks, We help a lot of nonprofits, churches, baseball teams, cheerleading teams, you name it. A lot of our commission goes to them, and a lot of good does. A lot of our 501s do a lot of good. So we just ask today that you maybe help in maybe ban the use of fireworks in the city limits, but not the sale. I mean, we're open 20 days a year. I mean, that's not much. I mean, there could be a liquor store there could be a ton of other things there. Like I said, we're a real simple company. We've been in business 52 years. And I said, we know what we're doing, and like I said, we just like to be able to continue to operate here. Yes, ma'am.
How do you, since you're only open for a
Yes.
very short time,
Yes, ma'am.
twice a year? Is it twice a year?
Yes, ma'am. 4th of July, New Year's.
Okay. How do you control the odd street vendors that come set up on your lot and leave their trash? That's your lot, so that's your responsibility.
That's correct.
It is your lot, so it is your responsibility to make sure that whoever is running that shack cleans up after themselves and anybody else who throws trash there.
Yes, our locations, they welcome that sort of stuff, and we try our hardest. You know, we get phone calls, people live in the area, we get, neighbors, hey, you guys have and we'll get out there as quickly as we can. I've got 0
Why
phone calls.
don't you put that shack on your street?
I have them down here.
Then we wouldn't have to look at it.
I have them everywhere, and that's just the way they look. We like that. So,
Okay, wait,
Don't you think though that you're spreading yourself too thin and you can't take, and you can spend it too fast?
No, but that's a business. You do that, you tackle the problems as they arise. And like I said, I'm more than happy to just set up a maintenance team that comes.
Mr. Martinez.
Yes.
please address the council. And
Oh, okay. I want to answer
Well, I know,
questions.
but
Yeah.
at the end of the meeting, if people want to ask you questions about it.
You guys have any
do
questions
so.
about Scott?
I do not know.
No. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
I just have one question.
Yes.
You stated that you financially supported the incorporation
Yes.
of the city, so that explains why Jim Clemens was so excited a year ago to bring you in as our first business.
Oh, I don't know if it was the first business. I know there was a Bolero that was up.
No, Bolero was already
Okay.
there.
Oh, I wasn't
So
sure.
you would
about
have
it.
been the first new business, and
Okay.
he was so
Okay.
excited, Mr. W, a year ago. I'm
Excuse
sorry.
me,
Yes.
excuse me. He is presenting to the council. If anyone would like to speak to him after the meeting, they're free to do so. But right now, this is not an open, it's not well, he obviously doesn't understand the procedures. I'm laying them out now.
Okay.
So it's for you to address the council on your concerns about the ordinance.
Well, my concern is this, it would be a financial hardship on our company to do that. That's something that we don't want to happen, of course, We invest a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of advertisement to that location. Purchasing the land wasn't cheap. Putting a stand, clearing it out, doing all that stuff, it's a huge investment on our part. And we would love to at least maybe have a grace period or some sort of way to just recoup some of the funds that we've lost by putting this in and then you guys immediately putting us out. Us contributing to you guys to help you become a city to automatically get kicked out is kind of not something we planned for. We support you guys and then you guys don't support us. So it's just, it's not nice. I mean, we just don't think it's very fair on our end.
Well, I will tell you, from the city's perspective, every other commercial enterprise, either proposed or currently in place, has come to the city ahead of installing their business, asking what the city requires. That didn't happen.
See, that's something we don't normally ever do. We just figure you buy the land, we do what we want. It's commercial property. It's just something that, I didn't know we had to ask permission to open up a business, Last time I checked, it's America.
Are you ever planning to put a permanent building there, or will
We would love to. We would love to have it increased as when we put a new location. It starts off slow, and then as the city grows, as more people go to it, it gets bigger and bigger. And eventually, we would love to have a full-fledged store there. That would be a long-term goal that we would like. But with issues like today, that just seems like
Because it wasn't open to sell fireworks July 4th, was it?
No, we run off all of our locations off of data from the previous years, and we opened it that previous year before that, and it didn't do so well. So it does better in this whole San Antonio region does very well in the wintertime. So we usually open up stuff like that, stands like that in the wintertime. So it's actually only open once a year for 1 week. Yeah.
Because right now, I don't even think there's even places to park there because I don't think you can drive into that sand.
Into the sand?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna go look at it on the way over here, but I mean, we've been at work all day long, and we got off and rushed over here. We're hoping to get here on time. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to go look at it tomorrow, figure out a game plan to get it up to par to your guys' requirements.
Any other questions from the council? Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you guys,
Mr.
I
Martinez.
appreciate y'all. Yeah, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions after.
Okay, number nine on the agenda, discuss and consider an ordinance prohibiting the sale, use, and/or storage of fireworks within the city limits. Council, you should have this ordinance here. Do I need to read the paragraph?
Because there are two, or do we just capture?
I'd first make a motion that we strike the use and storage of fireworks within the city limits and basically support the vote that we placed as a council, majority vote on the November 12th meeting. Item 15 was a unanimous vote to instruct the attorney to prepare the ordinance to ban the sale of fireworks within the city. Therefore, I make a motion that we sign the ordinance and place it in effect.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Frenway to amend the agenda item here to remove use and storage of fireworks within the city and approve the proposed ordinance that was presented at the November 12th meeting. Do we have a second? A second.
So we're just taking out the use and storage.
Correct.
And reverting back to the proposed ordinance that was presented at the November 12th meeting.
That's not gonna stop them from making money off it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes.
So you got the ordinance, you'll sign it.
I do. Okay, item number 10. Discuss and consider an ordinance amending ordinance 2015-12, known as the Health and Sanitation Regulations, to provide for the placing of garbage, trash, and recyclables within the city limits, and to provide for placing of trash in receptacle or recycled containers, and to prohibit the burning of trash and hazardous waste within the city limits. Say what? Oh, I am, sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Number 10.
Oh, that's what happened.
Damon Gibbs. Is he here? Okay, we will, you're right, I'm going off the wrong one here.
I think they just walked out.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll reach out to him for a future. Okay, number 11, discuss and consider the presentation by Javier Ramos on plans for commercial development of Lot 2, Block 128 on Waterwood Pass behind the Valero, and discuss and take possible action. Hello again.
Hello, everyone. I got a little proposal on the building behind there. We've been working on this project for about 3 or 4 years. I've been telling you guys to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Some of the things I've done in preparation, trying to get approval from the Bexar County, was looking at all the regulations that they've had. I've had the property now surveyed, platted, and recorded. I have a copy here of that. I also went out and went by their recommendations of getting into a architect or designer to design the building to make sure I meet the codes of the disability, getting in with the national fire restrictions that they have, and they've done that for us. The first one I have here just to show that the property has been recorded and platted and cleared with the signatures of the different ones. I am a member of the community. I like to build this community, help build it. My children graduated from school, my grandchildren are here. I would like to be part of the growth of the city, and that's what I would like to do here with this building. When we've talked to people in the area, they've asked for a restaurant, they've asked for a mom and pop restaurant. That's what I'm proposing on doing. I got some designs from an architect designer, backed up by a construction surveyor. Proper term on that one now, I'm going to be a structural engineer. And I appreciate the information that you give me. And I've been going through a lot of roads. I wish you guys were here earlier so that we could have done it. But maybe we could talk afterwards. But I do have a design here from Glenn. I'm sorry I didn't bring in another act for you, but he's worked out the site plan for us that's going according to the recording and the planning. If in the old days, you guys remember, this was the beginning of the Waterwood subdivision where the office used to be. Most of the residents call it the park because it has a lot of trees. My plan is to leave it as a open country looking design.
Is that this area right here?
Yes, this is that first driveway. If you've ever been behind the Valeros that walks in.
Waterwood Pass. That's the driveway.
Yeah, that's the driveway that's coming in. And we're placing the building in the middle. We make sure that we met the restrictions that they have. The thing that we liked about it is that it also has access to the new Mattress Road. So that's giving us a way to come in from both entrances into the building. We're looking at making it a drive-through. And then this is the design of the building. Again, meeting the handicap designs, the fire safety issues, and the structural engineer that it's safe for our residents.
What would be your capacity?
At this point, we have 4 tables that are holding 4, and booths, we're looking at about 24. I've had a septic tank, a septic engineer, Frank Grant, that works out in this area, check the soil, make sure it was secure, and he drew out some plans for this to meet a 20 seating capacity at this time to start off with. Those plans had already been submitted to Bexar County and have been approved. I stopped at that one till I talked to you guys to get your feelings before I finalized that part of it. I'm at the point to ready to move forward. I didn't want to move forward till I talked to you guys, got your recommendations, got your input, and I'll go from there.
Is this the property where that foundation's been started? And
the foundation was started probably about 2 or 3 years ago when I brought it, and it actually wasn't started. What we did at that time is we put it out to level the land. There's about a 6-foot drop in that area from the high point if you look at the topographics. When they were building new Mattress Road, I was able to speak to the guy that was working on it at that time. He had some of the road base that was left over, and he's the one that leveled out the area where I'm looking at plotting this land at.
But that's the property where that
It is the property where that.
I'm just trying to get an idea where
Yeah,
it is.
and the reason we placed those walls there was to give the guys an idea of how high to mark it off at up in there. So those are just guidelines. That is not the actual foundation support, if you would.
Have you had an engineering drawing done for the stormwater runoff?
When I went through Bexar County, we went through there and they had a water drainage appraisal where they went out and looked at it. They went over with the water drainage fees, and they assigned a fee for me that I would have to pay for that one. Now, I'm not sure if that will still go because we're now in the city. But yes, the county has done a water drainage survey on it. They made their recommendations, and the gentleman that made out the plans had discussed the plans with it. And their fee that they had charged me was not to come out until we started the actual building of it. So yes, a water drainage survey has been done, as well as a tree count survey. At the time that I was doing it, part of the things that they were looking at is they didn't want to take down all the trees. So I paid a little bit of money to do what is called a tree count survey. They counted all the trees, and then I had to sign a piece of paper saying I'm not going to cut down the trees that I just paid you to count. And I understand that. If you go and take down all the trees, and that was part of the water drainage survey, you no longer have pervious
Right.
for the water and it's going to run in. So there's a larger fee if you keep it that way, and that was part of the plan. I like the trees. That's why I moved to the country. I plan on leaving as many trees as possible. I plan on putting outside tables if possible.
Have you guys, just a question, you spent a lot of money already. Did you do your plans, you did the survey, you did the plat, you did your septic survey?
Yes, sir.
Permit. You are using licensed contractors?
I'm going to be the general contractor. I'm doing it through a structural engineer. Any electrical things, I'll be looking at getting licenses. I haven't reached out to those people yet. If you guys want me to, I would prefer to make sure it's being done safe and right. So I haven't gone that far to reach out and see exactly who's going to do it.
And we've spoken briefly
Yes.
about your plans, and I've mentioned to you several times about following the National Fire Safety Code, which is what you should follow during the construction phase. And that should address all of your handicap access issues, as well as your fire suppression, your egress, and such. So,
I've started the process in looking at all the codes that the National Fire Safety Protection Agency have. I do plan on abiding by those codes. I haven't read that they're expecting me to have a licensed electrician to come in, but they have the recommendations on how it needs to be built, and I will be building it by those rules. And I'll be looking for a little help as well, and I'm open to that.
I don't see the grease trap on here.
Actually, the grease trap is next to the septic tank system, and here's where we have the septic tank and the grease trap is
Okay,
behind.
where is it going from
In
here?
relation to here, this will be over here. This is the building you're looking at.
Okay,
This is
so
the footer.
it's going to be going from your sink drains
Yes, ma'am.
to there, okay. And it doesn't have a separate, I know in the city, there's actual, a lot of the restaurants have an actual grease trap, I think it's required in the kitchen itself.
The ones that I've seen,
Clean
they
out.
have a little box.
Yeah.
That is like a 2 feet by
Right.
3 feet.
Exactly.
That is actually the grease trap.
Right.
Here, this one is a 500-gallon
Okay,
tank grease
so
trap.
all of it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
They have all the water going through there. These little ones are about 40
Yeah,
gallons
they have
or
to
so.
be cleaned out about once a month.
Yes, this one here that Frank Grant had recommended, he's the engineer from it, it's a 500-gallon trap, along with a septic tank. I think we had talked about a 1,200 or 1,500 gallon tank. So it's a lot much larger, including the grease tank.
Okay.
You show existing pavements or existing driveways, they're just,
Those are the roads that had been established when Waterwood was using that as their office or as their main sales office.
is your intent to leave those, or are you going to pave them, or
My intent was to asphalt them.
to asphalt them, okay?
This is that one right there in
Yeah.
front.
Yes.
These, I don't think you can really see anymore.
Yeah.
You can't see there are a lot of our police officers will go back up in there and park in there as they're securing the area. But it is a road that can go back up in there, as well as this road that's coming all the way down.
Yeah.
The proposal will be to go with a black road base.
Are there any utilities existing, any septic or electric utilities on the property?
On the property, the water is already there and on, and the electric is there and on. Those were established when it was used as the office. When I went to the county to return on the electric, they had asked me to get the septic tank designed from before. It was a 20-year note from behind, so he said, let's go ahead and start off new. So before I could turn the lights on, it was physically there. It's when I went to Frank Grant, submitted it to the Bexar County, got their approval, and they turned on the lights. So all of that is on.
When are you looking to start?
As soon as you guys give me the okay. I've been waiting for several months and years now, but I'm not going to do anything till you guys tell me. I have people lined up, ready to go, so when you give me the okay, I'd like to get something going in the wintertime. I know of people that are a little bit slow work in the holidays doing the construction. I feel like they get a little bit of a better price now.
And you did say that you do have stormwater survey, an actual survey of the lake?
Through the, they
That
call it
already
a
been
water
filed?
drainage.
Right.
Yes.
You've already got that, and that's on file with Bear County now?
Yes,
Okay.
because they're looking for me to pay some fees when I start the building,
Yeah.
so it is on file. And I'm okay with that. I mean, their main thing was if I put all cement in there, that water's gonna have to go somewhere. And they were charging me a fee for an acre and a half that it is. And as I discussed that the building is a 1,600 square feet, we went through a lot of negotiations to compromise on the fee that they were looking at, being that it was still gonna be majority of the ground pervious, where the water can still seep through.
Nice. Nice.
Any other questions?
It's very nice.
As for the construction, I built 2 or 3 houses. I'll be looking into the community for some of the workers coming in. But as David just mentioned, I certainly will be looking at people that are licensed, that have certificates and have shown proven work. I'm not looking at something shabby. I am part of the community, kids and grandkids. You know, I look forward to coming in. And I am looking at some Sandy Oak designs in there. I have a gentleman that is doing a plaque that says the state of Texas. It's the Texas seal with Sandy Oaks established in 2014. That I'm looking at putting into cement at the entrance of the fort. I'm proud to be out here, girl. I'm trying to tell you this morning. So that is also included in the plans I'm doing. It's a family atmosphere area.
Well, I think one of the concerns that I have, I mean, I love what you've done. I'm glad that you've gone through all the steps that are necessary to do that. The fact that your property, as you said, is accessible from Waterwood Pass and also New Mathis, and those are both very highly traveled areas. During the construction phase, will you be on site
I
all the
live out
time?
in the area. During the construction phase, I do work. I can't tell you I'll be there for the whole 24 hours.
Right.
But over the next 2 months, I have already asked for certain days off that I've talked to some of my workers to be there. So yes, I do plan on supervising the area. And I've also looked at trying to make, and I want to check with you guys, maybe a chain link entry so that people aren't coming in, both, I don't want to go bad, but for stealing, but for safety reasons. So I'm looking at potentially blocking even a temporary with some poles, if not chain link, maybe with a chain, just to prevent people from coming in so that they don't go and get hurt during the area.
Well, I was just more concerned about traffic flow, materials, you know, blocking off any of the access for the residents. Because we would probably have to make, if he's has all the construction coming in on one side, we may want to for people. Okay, well, I was thinking back when Dollar General was being put in place and the gravel and all the debris that was on the road.
That was a much bigger project. The project, if you look at mine, it's a 40 by 40, about 1,600 square feet. But because of the acre and a half, I have ample place within my area so that I can't foresee any trucks coming on the outside, leaving any of that.
And pretty much your road is already there.
No, the road is there to come in and
You'll be
to
doing
park it in.
some parking, if anything else, and you'll probably be creating basins just to make parking areas.
Yes. So I don't foresee anything being out on the public road at any time. My concern was safety of people that walk through Valero coming in and looking in. My game plan, when I get the team to come in, will be to construct that building in a very fast manner. Not that we're rushing, but I'm looking at getting this building framed up and enclosed and secured. And I'm not going to give you a time frame because I don't know that. But I'm talking about weeks. I'm talking financially, it's there. They're not going to be waiting on my part. It's just me to get the people to come in and do it.
Okay.
Probably not as fast as Dollar General, but it'll be pretty quick. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Do we make a motion?
I want to talk to you guys a little bit more when it comes up to what type of restaurant you want. I like barbecue, guys, and there's not a fish place.
I love barbecue.
I like barbecue, and I would like some fish.
Yes.
And we're going with some ice cream and stuff for the kids too. It's going to be the kids around that. Drive-through as well because we have the folk coming in from Mathis and the other.
Yeah, the traffic flows.
That sounds good.
I'm going to give it my shot. With your support, we can go from there.
It's really just a doing better, giving them, they need somebody on the city letter, that is what they need. Some signature from the city.
Okay, well, thank you,
So,
Mr.
well,
Holmes.
I'll make a motion that we bless your proposal.
Okay.
Approve it, in other words.
Okay.
And authorize the city clerk or the mayor to provide any letters of endorsement you may need from the city as far as your electrical services, any of your utilities, you may need a letter from the.
Okay.
Earlier, but it's gotta be.
And we can do that, because right now, we're set up.
So that was the motion to approve this plan.
Okay, Alderman Tremblay has made a motion to approve the plans of Mr. Javier Ramos to move forward with his design, and the city clerk and/or the mayor to provide any documents that you need in order to proceed with
And I'll present
utilities.
those as needed, and then I'll bring back any other information that's needed to make sure that I'm meeting the requirements. And that's your plan. We'll do it one time, hopefully the right way.
Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
We have a second by Alderwoman Tanguma. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And will we be able to get a copy of those? Electronic is fine if that's all you have. But if
Yes,
you have
I can
paper
get you some copies. I'll make sure I get some copies.
Perfect, thank you.
I need a reservation for tomorrow night.
Okay, now we're moving on to the next item. Okay, next item on the agenda, number 12, discuss and consider an ordinance amending an existing ordinance 2015-12, known as the Health and Safety Regulations, to provide the placing of garbage, trash, and recyclables within city limits, and to provide for the placing of trash and recyclable collection containers, and to prohibit the burning of trash and hazardous waste within the city. And if I remember correctly,
And once again, we
Brush.
covered this on item 16 on 12 November meeting.
we did.
So,
That's right here. And this is the only thing, there's just something added to it? Is that what it was?
Changes that were made were, by section 8 definitions were added. Section
12?
11, the placing of garbage, recycling, and trash. 12, places contained for collection, which was, those 11 and 12 were discussed at the last meeting. And the burning of trash and hazardous waste prohibited, and that excludes the burning of brush, which would still be permitted. So 11, 12, 13, and 8 are the amendments. And of course, that changed the numbering to the old ordinance.
once again, I've read the ordinance, and we discussed this last meeting in November. I motion we accept the ordinance as written.
Second.
Sorry. We have a motion by Alderman Tremblay to accept the ordinance as written. Do we have a second?
Second.
Alderwoman Gillespie seconds. All in favor? Any further, well, before we go there, any further discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item 13, discuss and consider opting out of the Texas Municipal League Small Municipality Program and upgrade to the level necessary to allow for insuring city-owned vehicles. This is an item that's been carried over from a previous meeting. And actually, I do have, I think each of you did receive in here the quote. And you understand, for Karen and BJ specifically, the issue was that the small municipality program didn't allow us to have vehicles.
I remember
So,
that.
okay.
Yeah, I was here, I remember that.
Okay, so we would need to upgrade our insurance coverage. And the quote that we came up with for auto liability comes to about roughly $1,700 a year. And that was based on the 2 vehicles that I provided them information on. So, you know, the challenge we're faced with is we can't pick up the vehicles till they're insured, so.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
They're kind of sitting there waiting on us. So anyway, we do have a quote for the insurance.
So what is the quarterly? The quarterly thing, it's paid quarterly or is it paid
I
annually?
thought it was paid quarterly.
You
Well,
can pay-
the small municipality was.
You get a discount if you pay the,
The full amount.
yeah,
Full amount?
2%. 2%.
it's 99, almost $100
Quarterly,
discount.
okay.
But you can't figure that because that's a lot of other things. We're talking specifically about auto liability.
But it's all together though, isn't it?
Well, no.
We don't, oh, so we don't have to get all of this? We can just get,
We're talking specifically today about auto liability.
Here it is. There it is. 1349.
Well, yes, and this.
It's right there on the
So it's the 1349
Yeah, I see it,
and
but
the
it's-
326.
That's what she's talking about.
Just for
but there's more than auto
I
liability.
know there is, Doug.
It's this,
We're only talking about the auto liability.
it's this one
Yeah.
and this one together.
And this is through TML, by the way.
If we agree to this quote, are all these other coverages included?
No, we're only talking about the auto
Okay.
liability.
Okay.
All right. I didn't know we could get them separate.
Yes, we can.
We need to move those cars.
That's, yeah, I mean, it's a sticking point. We can't, we're stuck until we do something along those lines.
Forget the liability. What about the registration?
Mr. Gutierrez,
Yeah,
question about the vehicles?
yeah.
Titling and registration prior to the purchasing the insurance.
Hold on, can't hear you. I'm coming.
Titling the vehicles, to the city, titling the vehicles, registration prior to
They
getting
didn't
the
mention
policy.
anything, they didn't mention anything about that, all they mentioned was insurance.
I think we can get the coverage.
So we basically would just apply for exempt tags
Yes,
through the county?
yes.
Okay.
So
Can you get us some information on that process?
contact the,
Or
that's generally done through
Charlotte, maybe
local
you
tax.
can have?
Yeah.
We'll have
We'll
Charlotte
have
do it.
Charlotte do it.
Okay.
That's what we
Really
need to
quick,
do. If we can get
the
the
local tax
information
office
on the
does that.
vehicles as far as the VIN numbers
I think
and
that
some
has-
type of.
I think, yeah, I think
Okay.
we have to have
So if
that.
we can find out, well, what it's gonna cost us, if anything, to get those vehicles titled
Okay.
and registered, well, we did, I'm guessing exempt plates.
Yes, sir.
So then we go ahead and purchase the insurance. So if we buy the insurance today and we don't have the plates or anything for another month,
Right.
we would be paying that premium. How good is that quote for? Is that quote good for?
I just got it last week.
So it should be
It's
30
been
days.
for a while.
So
Who knows? Wait, somebody gets 30 days.
I'm going to motion that we table this item until the next meeting, until next month. And instruct the city clerk to get the information on titling vehicles if that needs to be done and getting some plates. And if we need to provide insurance, we may need to provide insurance before we get the
Yeah.
So maybe we, not sure what the process
Okay.
is.
I mean, that,
Maybe
the
we
item
can-
we're specifically talking about on the agenda has to do with the insurance, not the titling and the,
I understand.
so my thought was,
If we need the insurance, then I
yeah.
motion that we go ahead and purchase the insurance and move forward with getting the other documents we need to move the vehicle.
Yeah, because they may not be able to be registered if they don't have insurance.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so what is your motion?
Motion is to accept the quote from TML for the auto liability insurance. With stipulation that for.
We got it.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay to accept the quote from TML for auto liability coverage totaling roughly $1,700 a year. Do we have a second?
A second.
Alderwoman Gillespie seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Okay, moving right along. Okay, along the same lines, number 14, discuss and consider the bonding and insurance requirements for city officials handling city monies, and this is also a carryover from the previous meeting. And I did learn that we don't need to have surety bonds. There is a policy through TML that we can get that is a, what did they call it? It's pretty much a honesty policy. I can't remember what it's called in here now. But it protects the city for those very things. There's no specific bond that we're required to have for that, so.
Is that included in this right here?
What are you looking at? The public, yes, and public employee dishonesty. Yes. And so there should be. Oh, I know she put stuff in here on that.
And this one.
Actually, let me look in the big book. There we go. Public officials, bonds, and crime coverage. So the public officials bond is that they are available for various public officials and employees who are required to be bonded by statute, city charter, ordinance, resolution, or other official action on the part of the governing body or of a unit of local government. These bonds guarantee the faithful performance of the duties imposed upon the bonded individual and the individual's honesty. State law requires that these bonds be provided by a surety company authorized to do business in this state. To fulfill this requirement, these bonds are brokered with private bonding companies through Victor O. Schneer and Company. So, but she said we didn't need that. What we would do, and I think Elmendorf does the same thing, the public employee dishonesty coverage, and it provides for recovery for the loss of money, securities, and other property resulting from the dishonesty of employees, elected officials, and appointed officials. In order to avoid duplicate coverage, it does not provide coverage for losses caused by an employee or official that is required by law to purchase public officials' bond. And then there's a crime coverage that goes along with that, which is forgery or alteration coverage and theft, disappearance, and destruction. And the premium quote on that coverage for the public employee dishonesty, it gives us a limit of $25,000 per occurrence and a $500 deductible with an annual rate of $103.
Handling, is someone actually handling money that?
Well, it's
There will
access
be.
to the checkbook.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're not handling cash per se, but we are handling monies on behalf of the city.
Then we're probably, should be looking at forgery.
That's included in
It's
the,
all included?
right here.
It breaks it down separately here.
Yes,
I'm
Yeah, it's
sorry, I'm
per
sorry.
Listed different
It's
ways.
under it's an option under the coverage here for the public dishonesty. You're correct. So the forgery and alteration and the theft, disappearance and destruction, and computer fraud. So that's 103, 303, 325 a year for all of that. And all of those incidents have a $25,000 limit per occurrence.
So is this a requirement? It's required?
Yes,
It's
we have
required.
to have coverage.
It's a requirement, then we need to do it. Okay?
Well, I mean, it's not required that we have all of these, but it is required that we have the coverage for the public employee dishonesty coverage.
I think we should do all of them.
Leave that up to the council. So do we have a motion?
Second motion.
Need a motion first.
Oh, I motion that we accept the public employee dishonesty policy and also the forgery or alterations, the theft, disappearance, and destruction, and computer fraud for the amount that has been allotted for the annual contribution for year 325.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderwoman Tanguma to accept the coverage for public employee dishonesty, forgery or alteration, theft, disappearance, and destruction, and also computer fraud for $325 a year. Do we have a second?
I second.
Where are we taking that from the budget from?
We have, I don't have the budget in front of me, but we do have, we do, yeah. Well, because we knew we upped it because we knew things were changing.
But what is it under, though? Do you remember what it would fall under, what's part of the budget?
Insurance?
Insurance, okay. I couldn't remember how they labeled it.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderwoman Tanguma and a second by Alderwoman Gillespie. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to number 15. Discuss and consider, what is that word?
What's my word?
Discuss and consider Waterwood Park Property Owners Association assets and the properties offered to the City of Sandy Oaks and the status of the investigation by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. This is also a carryover from a previous meeting. And I'm going to refer this to the city attorney to address. I think she's been working closely with Mr. Clement on this.
Well, at the last meeting, the council made a motion to instruct me to make a counter proposal to the WPPOA in which they would transfer all assets with the exception of the park itself in order to maintain the streets. So what I've been working on with Mr. Clement is just getting a list or identification of all the streets that would then be transferred to the city. So we do have several lists. I think what the city, the best way to approach this would be for the city to obtain, however the WPPOA obtained streets, whether that was by special warranty deed or dedication, would be the best way to identify those. When you look at the deed though, it just outlines the park as a whole, including all the streets. It doesn't distinguish between the park and the streets. So we would probably need an engineer to differentiate between the two to exclude the park. That way we know what the city is really taking on.
Is the park not platted or surveyed? There's no...
It's a survey. and I don't remember how old it is, but it is a survey of the park or the field facility. So I know Mr. Clement also wanted to speak and address the council, so he may be able to clarify some things, but we do have a list from the county, and it's possible Sandy Oak streets, and then streets that the county had maintained before the incorporation. And so it's just a matter of trying to narrow it down and figure out which streets would all be transferred to the city from the WPOA.
Well, I've been meeting with a gentleman from Bear County, and he shared a lot of information. Some very large files that I can't even put on my computer, but we figured out a way to make it work. And he sent me, and you have, where's that email? This right here? Right. So he sent an email. I asked him specifically about a designation he had here on this list of street segments. Because some of them say annexed, and some of them say county maintained, and some of them say under developer's warranty. And these are very specific segments of streets. And I actually have an electronic file that shows the original drawings of every street segment, every one of them. I tell you more than you probably want to know about them. So my question back to him was, what does annexed mean? What does county maintained mean? And his response was, when the streets were incorporated into the city of Sandy Oaks, the status of the street segment that was being maintained by the county, so there were segments that were being maintained by the county, they were changed from county maintained to annexed. So on this list here that I think each of you have, these are all identified. Every street segment here is identified as to its current status. What that doesn't tell us is what was maintained by the county, what was maintained by the WPPOA. So he says all other street segments remain the same since they do not require county maintenance. And he used Gold Cap as an example. Anyway, it's just tons and tons and tons. There's 11 pages here of all the different segments. There's a segment on Shady Forest from Loman Road to New Mathis that says it is under developer warranty. So I don't know if we can assume from that that is what is owned by WPPOA.
I think that, well, I didn't know if the developer warranty was the previous owners and what they had, maybe they had maintained ownership of some streets or something on the property.
I don't know the answer to that either. But there's several segments in here that are under developer warranty. Silver Chalice, for example, Waterwood Pass to New Mathis, 994.03 feet is under developer warranty. But he did not explain the developer warranty thing as to what that actually means. So I'd like to ask Mr. Clement, if you don't mind, what you could maybe enlighten us on.
I submitted to Ms. Ortiz a list from the county that identified each and every street that they were maintaining at the time of incorporation. And they went by certain, well, they picked certain intersections and so forth and carried on, and there are gaps in there. And almost every single one that the county had not accepted, not annexed, was for drainage. And mostly all of the drainage was in the newer sections, Copper Canyon, all that area in Copper Canyon. That's where they had the bar ditches. In some places were 10 feet deep, and when it rained, you know what happens with the sands here. They filled up the culverts, and the county would not accept ownership of any of those. And just because the drainage ditch was plugged up, that's part of the right-of-way. And so those are the items that they hadn't, as they say, annexed. And there were very few places. Opportunity Drive was one. They have a huge drainage easement through Opportunity down into the big drainage area that crosses Waterwood Pass just below Reliant.
There are some streets on here that say that the county maintained.
Yeah, this.
Oh, they're in the southwest states.
I received two separate lists from the county. When the incorporation occurred, Bear County started scrubbing the machine because they removed their ownership from any of the streets, as you said, they call them annexed. Any of those streets, they now were owned by the city. And the only ones that carried over ownership from Waterwood Development, there were about 5 streets that weren't incorporated. Now, there was one listing from Waterwood Development Company that I received, and it was a very short list, and it was very difficult to understand exactly how they had come up with the matrix on that.
So is it your understanding then that any properties that the county refused to accept for maintenance would then belong to Waterwood Development and then now Waterwood property owners?
WPOA, yeah.
Do you, you mentioned Copper Canyon, and I was looking through here and I'm not seeing any segments in the
No,
back.
they eventually bought into all of that. So
Your print's bigger. That's what I'm looking at, but it's all annexed. That's what I'm saying. But if it's annexed, it now belongs to the city. And that's all I saw was on that page
Yes,
2.
they had a real problem when they first opened up Copper Canyon from Waterwood Pass over to New Mathis Road. They had a terrible problem, and the county was not buying that until Waterwood Development went back in there and started opening up all them culverts. And until that was done, the county just sat back and waited, and they eventually bought in. I'm not sure if they bought in to all of the side streets. There's an awful lot of cul-de-sacs and so forth in there. There's a couple of other streets that loop from Copper Canyon back to Copper Canyon and up to Hickory Shadow.
Well, I think, at least what I'm thinking is that do we need an official document to sign off on something that sounds like we own already, or can we just draft and, I don't know what you call it, where it's just like, he agrees, or Waterwood Property Owners Association agrees not to hold any claim to anything outside of the park, and the city agrees to accept it? I mean, can it be as simple as that?
If they're private streets, you still want something, or whether it's done by ordinance or resolution, something attached.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying, I don't know how we identify specific segments.
I think some sort of plat or survey identifying those segments, because this is, I don't think this would.
Well, I actually have the surveys for every one of these segments. It's a 34 meg file that's in my Dropbox, so.
But to the actual lots, I don't think, there are no deeds for streets. You don't hold anything else for streets.
Right.
So
There would have
basically,
been the park. But
right.
yeah, the surveys, I think, would be.
We have all of those, but it would take an engineer to tell us what that means.
Yes. As far as it, I mean, the purpose, yeah, was to maintain the streets.
the purpose is to
There
maintain the
can be
streets,
some,
and
you
this
know,
list in itself would suffice to provide to the contractor
Yes.
to say we want to maintain these rights of ways on all of these streets that have been annexed.
Yeah, I think
If
that
they're
would-
county maintained, then we're not going to maintain the right of ways. Then this will suffice.
Yeah, then
for
that,
what we
you know,
need.
just as long as there's some sort of agreement with the WPPOA in place that we have the authority to do that. And as long as the Waterway Development Corporation itself is owning streets and, or maintain or, you know, the use of those streets, or have those easements or right of ways. And that's where I guess my concern would be was
Right.
anything that the WTC has.
Well, that was kind of my concern, was if there's no deed per se for any of the streets, then we're kind of spinning our wheels
Yeah,
here.
it would just be, it would just be in the surveys, and whatever streets were private. I guess if they remain private until we're trying to clear those out, at least the city has authority to go, and maintain those.
Right, so we'll ask for something, from the PPOA, relinquishing all control
Yes.
of the of these
Yes,
streets.
that's
And
what-
relinquishing all control and passing it to the city. So what was the bottom line on our offer?
Oh,
I mean, as well as this, I mean, what did we come up with?
Right. So they did accept the count offer, to accept, for the city to accept the transfer all the assets with the exception of itself. I guess until the DCQ issue was dealt with and whatever issue.
Okay. And these are assets, so there's the streets and whatever properties without the park.
That's right.
Yes, that was what we count proposed.
Okay.
Okay. So I think we'll take the agenda item and break it down into bits. Yes? Can we do that? Vote on certain segments of the agenda item?
Yeah, like to exclude the TCQ issue, for
Yes.
example.
Okay, so, do we need to instruct you to prepare a document for signature?
Transfer deeds.
To transfer, I don't know if there are deeds, that was the question.
There's no deeds. You have deeds to lots.
Oh, that's true.
You have deeds to
There are,
lots, not the streets, but
but-
you do own some lots.
there's the one, you know, the whole big,
The drainage.
the drainage area, all those that have Bearcat account numbers, those very specific items.
Okay, you're talking about the drainage areas?
Yeah, starting there at Waterwood Pass and going all the way down to,
Okay, there's only one, actually it's in 4 parts, and it belongs to the WPPOA. It's called the Scenic Park.
I've seen it.
I kid you not, that's the thing. But it goes from Waterwood Pass
It's a ditch.
all the way over to, was it New Mathis? It's in 4 sections.
Right.
And that was deemed the WPPOA.
And so I think the expectation from the council is that those are included in this proposal along with all of the streets. So it's everything,
If that's the consideration that the city council wants, I have no qualms.
Okay.
It's listed on the tax rolls. Each section is valued, because we're a Texas nonprofit, it's listed at $100 per section for tax purposes. And the park is listed at $100.
Okay, so we want to instruct the attorney. Do we need to make a motion for this?
Well, I didn't know if I sent Charlotte a proposed ordinance today. I think it was with your packets, but not in one of the clear folders. But it may need to be provided.
The draft? Yeah. I didn't get a copy of that. So does that address those? Deeded parcels as well?
It's, in the preamble, it says discuss all of assets and attachment itself.
Okay.
It's incorporated, section 1 and section 2 is talks specifically about the street easements and driveways and that we can deal with. We would just need to clarify what, I mean, other than the streets, if he has anything else identifying scenic.
There are specific account numbers listed over here for all those, and I think you did provide that to us at one time previously.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably amend this to identify those specifically as well.
Yes.
Okay.
I could get together with the city council and present all the documentation for what you need, and that would be just that.
Well, I think you've already given us the Bearcat documents, so we know what the properties are, their legal descriptions, which I think is what we need.
The city attorney can deal with it directly as far as the transfer of the deeds.
Right.
Yeah.
And as far as the streets are concerned, going back to the streets, we need to transfer the responsibility for the utilities for any streetlights that are running on the streets. Which
Well, I think we were going to break this up into, we didn't talk about that. But you're right.
But if we're
Any
taking
accounts-
the
yeah, we're
streets,
taking the
then
streets.
we will assume responsibility to transfer the utilities at the time of the transfer of the deeds.
Okay.
So we can make it effective on that date as far as contacting CPS.
There's four CPS accounts goes with the streets.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
For lighting. There's 4 accounts that go with all the streets. There's one main one, and there's 3 small ones that run about $10 a month. Like that island in the middle of the road on Waterwood Pass, that's one.
Well, I've taken that list of account numbers that you provided, and I've gone back to CPS to give us specific addresses and locations of where those accounts are, what those accounts service, because those accounts did not show up on our franchise fee. So that was kind of interesting that they're not being included in our overall agreement with CPS. So I'm waiting on, I was just checking, I hadn't gotten an answer back from them yet. So
Those are not the same accounts that Waterwood Development Company had.
right,
Those were new.
right, she'll give me the corresponding account number that goes with it. I'm just asking CPS for clarification on that.
Okay. I've got them committed to memory.
Okay, so, make a motion? Or anyone want to make the motion?
Feel free, David.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll make the motion that we accept an ordinance, pass an ordinance accepting the streets within the Waterwood Park for the purpose of maintaining
Not Waterwood Park.
Waterwood Park Property Owners Association, Waterwood Park. The
So what about the
subdivision,
park?
not the park. The subdivision, with the exception of the park,
Okay.
to include the properties deeded, again, with the exception of the park. and instruct the attorney to proceed on transfer of the deeds, at which time we will assume responsibility for any utilities.
Associated with those specific properties.
Correct. You want to read that back?
I got it. You want to read it back just to make sure you got it right?
No, I'll listen to this.
Oh, okay.
Put it on rewind. So we have a motion by Alderman Fernley, and I hope I get this right, to accept the, from Waterwood Property Owners Association, the deeded properties and the streets outside of the park area, and instruct the attorney to draft the documents for the transfer. And once complete, we will accept the utilities. Is that close enough?
Close enough.
And the ordinance that was drafted, is that going to be passed?
It's
It'll
going to have to be modified.
Okay.
Yeah. it's
Because
gonna
we're
be.
taking the deeds.
Okay.
So we want to amend the draft. Okay.
So you don't negotiate or execute any documents.
No, she,
Sandra can do all that.
no, I'll still,
You'll do it?
she'll draft them and then
Oh, you
in
can.
between.
We'll still be correct.
Okay, so we have a motion. Can we get a second? Second. Can you repeat it?
Nope. I'm going to try.
Okay, any further discussion?
I will add that, Mr. Clement, should you get the issue with the TCEQ
Well,
resolved.
we're breaking these things down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
That's part of it.
okay, so all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so the second part of this, I have an agenda in front of me, is a follow-up on the TCEQ, kind of where we're at with that.
Okay, the TCEQ, there has been a little bit of outside interference in me dealing with those people. When the possible hazmat was identified inside the maintenance yard, I was in the process of negotiating with a company to remove and test that material. But in the meantime, somebody took it upon themselves to go to TCEQ with a complaint. And of course, that kind of changed everything. What we're looking at right now, we identified 2 drums that were approximately half full of some kind of material. And I had the drums placed in a burned area within the maintenance yard and a tarpaulin put over them. And I had an investigator from TCEQ, Mr. Ramon Juarez from TCEQ came over and he done his investigation, and we were in the process then, because he had to go back and do his paperwork before he could issue anything to us. But it was my responsibility to prepare and find somebody who could remove it. People don't understand that when you have a hazmat possibility, you have to do paperwork and hire a company to move that material to a lab. Then you have to hire the lab to test the material, find out what's in it. Then you have to dispose of it. So it's a very detailed process that you have to go through. Well, to beat all, when the city council didn't want, they wanted to contract maintenance, and they didn't want to take all that equipment that was there, Waterwood Development came in, and they were removing all of their equipment. And according to Mr. Jason Gale, he's going to do me a favor. He removed the drums. Well, that there complicated it, but it turns out that he said he found somebody on what is it, Craigslist, that was looking for used oil to cool down and also protect his machine equipment, the drill bits and so forth that he had. Well, he doesn't know who he gave it to. So that complicated a rather simple process for me, because I'm dealing with very limited money. And it turns out that TCEQ is asking for cores to be drilled in the ground, anywhere from 3 to 5, and they have not made that determination yet. But it's going to cost approximately $1,000 a hole to get that out of there, and that's put the burden on my efforts, in that I have very limited funds, and I don't have $3,000, which says I'm going to have to get an assessment fee of $50. I'm not, because once all the streets are gone, the biggest debt that we have right now is the streetlights within the community. So I'm going to have to ask $50 so that we can have enough of assets to take care of the TCEQ effort. But,
May I ask a question?
but there's a caveat. In this whole thing, this thing just, it's kind of a thing that drives me crazy. But the clubhouse in the park has got terrible mold problem, and everybody knows about the mold. But the mold it hasn't stopped growing, and I'm putting that building up for sale, and whatever I can get for it. I'm asking $5,000. And the single wide, also get that up for sale. And that would allow me enough of funds, if I can sell those, to take care of TCEQ. And if it can happen soon enough, we won't have to ask for an assessment fee. And I personally would not want to do that, but
May I ask a question?
sure.
Have you considered having a discussion with Mr. Gale about that? Because,
Oh.
well, my thought is, the contamination didn't happen under your watch per se. It's something you inherited. I mean,
Yeah, well,
have you had any discussion with him about?
That's, that's something that when property is transferred from one owner to a new owner, and if there's contamination found or hazmat found on the property, who owns it at the time it's found owns the problem. And we found out about that problem at a later date, and wasn't a good deal for us, in that because as soon as I found out about it, I immediately went to Waterwood Development Company, and they don't own the problem, but they did at the time give me access to their crew to dig up the hole, and they found it. They tried to hide it, but you can't do that where you have base material over the whole maintenance yard, and then you take and you dig a hole in the ground. The soil that's been removed or has been tampered with sticks out like a sore thumb, and it was easily found. They tried to hide it by taking their dumpster and putting their dumpster over part of it, and they had a lay-down yard within the maintenance yard, and they tried to hide some of it, but I had them open the hole completely until they found nothing, and the hole now has nothing in it. It's all been filled back in, and all the materials that were found in the hole are gone. And the problem right now rests with those 2 drums that are missing. TCEQ went to Mr. Gale. I sicked them on him, and he says, you know, it's one of these, I don't know. But he took them, and TCEQ said, I'm responsible. Well, the WTPOA is responsible. That's my worry. And before TCEQ came into the picture, I had the opportunity to hire a company to do all the work for me.
Well, what is your next, what is the next step with your involvement with TCEQ? What do you?
I have been dealing with Mr. Wyas, the inspector. I've moved higher up in the chain. His boss, or the manager of the local office of TCEQ, and I'm submitting a letter to him to see if what his feelings are. He was very amenable to me in that he says, this is such a small thing, but it's not for me, because I'm the one that has to come up with the money to pay somebody to do the work. I'm going to see if he would agree to us just taking scrapings. Okay? If we can take scrapings, because all of that earth that was in the contaminated area has, you know, what was here yesterday, because the bucket on the backhoe moved it over here. It's not here anymore, which means that in a 40-foot by 20-foot area, that dirt is all over the place. But the only thing I can attest to is that when the hole was open and they removed all the materials that were found in the hole, there was no staining in the ground. There were no holes in the drums. They didn't look pretty. I believe Mr. Gay took pictures and showed them to the city council. And it was shortly thereafter. I don't know exactly when, but I was not approached by TCEQ. Somebody else was, and they says, you know, TCEQ is going to come and see you on such a date. I said, oh God. But my intention is to see it through, and as soon as the city council opts to take control of the city park, I mean, it would be the city park now, but of the Waterwood Park, you're not going to see me anymore. My health is getting worse.
Jim, a while ago, you said that you were just gonna ask for $50 for an assessment, because the
$50,
assessment fee is more than that.
Huh?
The assessment fee is more than that.
No, the assessment fee was established first by Waterwood Development Company at $75 with the option to raise it 10%.
Yeah.
Every year. They did not do that for approximately 15 years. It stayed at $75, and then it went up to, I believe it was 80 or 85, and then it went to $90. And that's what
Yeah.
everybody thinks it's $90. The assessment fee is determined by what is needed to do the job.
Well, that's why I was asking the question, because there's other stuff that needs to be repaired in the park.
Absolutely.
You sure that the $50 is gonna be enough?
And I've told those around me that I don't like the idea of having to put the burden of the park on the city council and the residents of the city that live within the bounds of the Waterwood subdivision. The swimming pool needs to be taken care of.
Well, that's why I was asking you if $50 was going to be enough, because the gate is, you can't open the gate because the gate key, whatever that's called, the key, that's broken, and those homes, those houses need to be taken out, and I don't know if...
I have a clicker that still works. I believe I gave a clicker to Mr. Gabe because at the time he was, the city council needed to act.
Well, that's, I was just, the only reason I was asking is because I just wanted to make sure that $50 was going to be enough to do all the repairs that need to be repaired, that need to be made. And the reason I'm concerned is because if the city doesn't have any money budgeted for repairs of the park, and if we take it, we won't have a lot of...
Mr. Thomasini, let me tell you, the $90 assessment fee that was being collected twice a year was enough to cover 2 maintenance crews, a lady who took care of the clubhouse and the swimming pool, and all of the street maintenance.
Okay.
For whatever some people say they did nothing.
Well, like it's just a question. I just wanted to make sure you had enough to do it, that's all.
I figured that $50 was not bad.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna wind up paying it along with everybody else. And once we do that, the city would opt to take it over. But it is my feeling that when we turn it over, I don't want the city to have to suffer. What I found out, Waterwood Development Company had not been doing due diligence in maintaining their assets within that park. And I don't feel that it's necessary, that I should have to put that burden on the city, because I'm looking at this in 2 different ways. I'm proud to be a part of this city, but when we are dealing with the park belongs to the people within the bounds of the Waterwood subdivision. And if I do nothing and it gets turned over to the city, then we're asking the people that live down Priest Road, the people that live in the other subdivision right at the tail end of Dragon Rock, down in that area and so forth. Some of the people who live on Mathis Road, we're asking them to pay for something that should have been done to the Waterwood Park. I don't know if you want to keep that name, but if that be the case. That is my intent, okay? I want to try and stick by it. I've got barely enough of money to keep electricity and water in the park. And the reason for that being, I can't shut off all the electricity. I've got one circuit breaker on in that park, and that's the circuit breaker that controls that gate. And I can't lose the water service because if we have a fire,
Well, right. But the issue with the gate is apparently there's 2 individuals in this room who have access to the park. Because you can't use a card to get in, so it's just the 2 of you. So why are we maintaining the electricity for the gate, purposes of the gate?
For 2 people.
You should just open the gate and leave it open and.
well, you know,
That's a good point.
you look at it that way.
Well,
They go in down
they're
private
they're
pass
already coming
anyway.
in to knock down the fences anyway. I mean,
They can climb the fence.
no, they've knocked down the fence. There's a whole nother road off Prairie Pass.
Yeah. Well, they can go over the fences and.
So I mean, I don't know what you're keeping out by keeping the gate locked. They're getting in anyway. And the sheriff's patrol would actually patrol in there, but they can't get in because the gate's locked.
The sheriff, the marshal can.
Well, the
I
marshal,
gave him a
I know,
card.
yeah, we had that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're waiting on you to get another update on TCEQ, is where we stand with that. Okay.
And if you need be, I'll keep you updated every month, or if anything happens in the interim, I will approach you with any updates.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clement.
Okay.
Okay, we're moving on to item number 16. And that would be discuss and consider an application to the Federal Surplus Property Program. This is just a minor formality. It's in order for us to be able to purchase through this organization, we have to have the application on file. I know that Mr. Gutierrez has been down there and talked to them. They're a great source for the light bars that they need for the vehicles, a lot of the equipment that they need for the marshal's vehicles. They can get there very inexpensively. I have been talking with them about some buildings, and there were a couple of opportunities that we had in the past to purchase good-sized portable buildings. If you would think along the lines of a portable classroom similar to that, the cost to us would be $2,500. So it's definitely worth considering doing. There's no fee associated with filling out the application. It's just that we can't purchase if we don't have the application on file. So again, this one is just a formality. Does anybody have any questions on that one? Yes, no? Nope. Well, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we submit the application for the Federal Surplus Property Program.
Okay. We have a motion by Alderman Friendly to submit the application to the Federal Surplus Property. Did we get a second?
Oh, I'll second.
And we have a second by Alderman Thomasini. Any further discussion?
Do you want to decide who's going to be, it has a list of
It
who's
does have a list.
authorized representatives. Do I put everybody, or?
I would say everyone. I mean, the marshal's going to need to be able to make purchases.
I still think anything
You've got the
should-
checkbook.
anything should come to the council. I think it should be the mayor and the city clerk.
You think so?
Yes,
Even for marshal?
yes.
Okay, you want to amend your motion?
Unless he's taking that out of his budget, I think we need to be aware of where the money's.
Well, no, it would be coming out of his budget, but you're right. I mean, all the purchasing, the checks are going to be written out of Charlotte's bank account.
Okay, I'll amend that motion to submit the application for several federal surplus property with the authorization for purchases being done by the mayor or the city clerk.
Okay, we have an amended motion. Alderman Tremblay to approve submitting the application to the federal surplus property to include authorized purchases or authorized representatives to be the mayor and the city clerk. You have a second? Alderwoman Gillespie, second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, aye.
Motion carries. We are moving right along, dude. Okay, item number 17. This is an item to discuss, discuss and consider signage for the city of Sandy Oaks to include city limit, speed limit, and other traffic and street signs. This item was presented by Alderwoman Gillespie and Alderman Tremblay, and I will hand it over to Alderwoman Gillespie.
This is one of those things that's kind of taken on a life of its own. With some help from some other people, so far I've identified 5 streets that don't have street signs at all. And the residents have complained about it when people try to make a delivery. They can't find their street because there is no street sign. There's one stop sign missing, and there's one stop ahead sign missing that I know of. And I'm sure there's probably more out there. And I think it's something we may be able to get the citizens to help us with. I think the signs that are missing, there's things that should be addressed first.
The post office probably has a list too, because they've mentioned to me something
Have
about.
they? Okay.
Yeah, so I think they have a list of where they have problems.
Okay, very good. I did a little checking on, just some preliminary checking on signs and measured the signs that we have. They're different sizes, different cities use different sizes. All of the signs, the traffic signs, the stop signs, the speed limit signs, it's called the Texas Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. And any of the signs that are used in a city have to conform to those regulations, and they're very specific, as to the size and the reflectivity and where they're placed and all that. I'd like to, there are a lot of signs that are even, they're leaning over. I think that's further down the road. I think we need to get the ones that are missing taken care of first. And I'd like to see what we can do with the county so far as pricing. I have some pricings for one company here in town, and their plant has been tested by the Department of Transportation, so their signs conform to the requirements, so we know that. And I'm sure whatever company there is with Bear County would be the same. But I wanted to know what some prices were from a company other than through whoever Bear County approved vendors are, just as a comparison. We need to talk about the city limit signs, the hazmat signs, the no hazmat signs, actually. I see a potential problem only in one place, and that's over on Mathis Road. Because one side of the street is Sandy Oaks.
You're talking about Priest.
I mean, not Mathis.
Mathis.
One side of the street is Sandy Oaks, and the other side of the street is not.
If you're heading south,
Okay, well, you'll have the same issue on Priest as well. One side of the
with the
street is.
exception, yes, you're right. After you pass the water tower, before you get up to the Valero, that stretch there is a different.
There's a different change there too.
On the
Okay,
right it's not, on the left it's, or whichever way you're going.
Yeah.
The same in front of Dollar General, so that whole place is just straight driving.
So that, in order we can put up a no hazmat sign. So does that mean that the trucks can come?
They can go south.
They can go south,
north.
they can't go north?
How's that gonna work? I had thought that perhaps we could approach Bear County about joining into the same, whatever it is that we do, they would participate in at the same level. So if it's a sign that needs to go on their side of the street, they would do that, or if they want to control past the area, I don't know.
Yeah, we could contact Dwayne when County Sheriff's Office.
I'm sure that's not the first time it's happened.
This would be interesting to know also on those same roads, so far as the maintenance. Same issue.
And it may be some, yeah, I don't know if it would be just a discussion with them as far as maintaining the roads, or I don't think it's an interlocal agreement where they have to do it, but that may be what County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, I have to find out about the maintenance.
It's weird. It's all about.
So that's the hold up on the hold up on the
Right.
no hazmat sign. The city limit signs, I think we need to get those done.
Count how many we need.
Well, that's
another
what-
issue, how many,
well,
where do you
that's
place
what-
them on the maintenance of the subdivision. Up on that side when you come off 37, how many would you need there?
Well, you would need, I think you would need one right as you come across the overpass. And New Mathis is straight ahead. I think you need one right there. And I don't know about maybe the DOT, since they have a sign up there with Priest Road, Mathis Road. I think it would be nice if on the exits that they put City of Sandy Oaks that way.
Well, that would be the easiest way to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But I think we do need to put up our city limit signs. I don't see a big issue on Priest Road or Mathis Road. All you'd have to do would be to put your city limit sign on the side of the street.
So I think.
As you're coming into the city.
Yes.
Yes.
We did join in, we voted to join in with Bear County as far
Yes.
as getting on the blanket purchase, like the
Yes.
blanket purchase agreements with vendors. If we could possibly get that list.
I was down there this morning with the Commissioners Court, and that is done as far as our participation. The agreement is all signed and delivered, and I can now follow up with their purchasing.
So I
and
think
find
if
out.
we deal with the county as far as who they utilize, and we had a short discussion on that. And purchase the signs with installation included. That way
Right.
we're not looking at
Right.
two different contractors. So
Well,
if we
and-
can get that listing and get the pricing,
And the pricing that I got from that company in San Antonio, I got prices for just the sign and prices installed. And the signposts we have right now, they're the same, they're the ones the county uses. The yellow ones, the powder coated yellow ones, those are older ones. But they're the ones the county was using at the time. Now they're using the galvanized.
so I don't think it's an issue of whether or not we disagree on putting the proper signage up. I think it's just a matter of which vendors do we deal with. And I think we would be better off dealing with the same vendor that the county uses. I just think it would be cheaper because of the quantities.
Well, I think
that
so
they
too, but
provide.
that's why I wanted this price, so
Right, just to compare
not
it
just
to, right.
assume that they're the cheapest.
So if we could have the, get the list and.
Yeah, I'll find out tomorrow. I'll make a few phone
And maybe
calls.
we'll put a note on our website that if there are signs out there that are missing or need replacing, that.
There is a citizens report on our website, and it has dropped down for different things that if people encounter things, if it's potholes or if it's, intersections being blocked or signs down, that's all on
This
there.
is probably an easier fix than the potholes right now.
Yeah.
Well, and I think also on the speed limit signs, the majority of Sandy Oaks is residential. state law, it's 30 miles an hour. We do have we can lower it to 25 without having any kind of survey done or anything like that. I don't see any point in doing that. But I think if we would put up, there are 30 mile an hour speed limit signs at there's one going on to Shady Forest from Priest Road. There's one at Waterwood Pass, there's one at New Mathis, there's one going into the Star Oaks area just as soon as you make that turn. If we put signs up on those speed limit signs, and they make them one that says citywide underneath unless otherwise posted.
Right, we could
Then you're not
limit the
placing.
number of signs. We
Yes.
just put them at the main
Yes.
entrances,
Right.
main streets,
Yes.
unless otherwise posted.
Yeah.
Again, that's.
And it's a residential area. People, I guess people have forgotten, it's been many years since I took my driving test, but I'm still aware of the fact that it's 30 miles an hour maximum in the residential section. I think that would be the posts are there, the speed limit sign is there. I think we should take advantage of it. And I'd also like to see if since I put the signs up and they're at the main entrance where the rock island is, I was looking at the Waterwood sign, and most of the Waterwood sign that's attached there, they're welded onto bolts. They're steel plate. There are a couple letters that they replaced with plywood. But there's 9 letters in Waterwood, with a space in between Sandy and Oaks. There are 10 letters. I'm thinking it wouldn't be such a bad idea to remove the Waterwood sign and put up Sandy Oaks. And I don't think it would be such a bad idea to put up a seal on each side. Each side of that island. You would see that first and then Sandy Oaks.
Well, they're still a subdivision. Waterwood is still a subdivision.
Yes, they are.
We recognize it as a subdivision.
Yes, they are.
Unless the property owners decide they want to relinquish that identification, I think we still.
They're not relinquishing the identification by us removing that sign. If that sign becomes the city's,
On the streets.
it's still Waterwood subdivision within the city of Sandy Oaks.
Yeah, but we do.
Yeah, that's future discussion.
Okay.
Okay, but as far as
We
the
don't even
signage
have
goes,
those.
I don't think we need to pass a resolution or ordinance to
No, no.
sign.
No,
I think we need to look at,
I think
we
it's
need to look at
something to
what's required, identify what signs we need, and then come back and find a way to budget. We don't have a way to pay for signs in the budget.
I believe there is.
Street.
Streets maintenance, it's for street maintenance, if we did.
Yeah, with traffic control on your streets would fall under that.
Then let's
We have to.
let's get the list together.
Okay, I'll get you, since you brought it, I'll get you the contact information tomorrow on who to contact and see what you can find out on sign pricing.
So what you have the prices in, we just need to do the right around and identify them, come up with the total cost, come back to the council and get approval to spend that amount of money for
Right.
signs.
Okay.
Where exactly we want the signs going.
Yeah.
Now, she brought up hazmat. I know we passed that. Do we need to post signs? I mean, is that something else that we need to?
I think the ordinance authorizes.
I know we.
It's stipulated where the
Exactly
signs
where.
want to go, right, yeah.
So we'll need to consider that as well. Okay. Okay, so there's no action on item 17? Okay. Okay, and now we're getting to the real fun stuff. Number 18, discuss and consider an animal control ordinance.
I'd love to.
Pardon?
I'd love to. I'm coming alive. This is my area.
Okay.
I have read the ordinances you have from City of Selma and City of
We're not
Elmendorf.
talking about them yet.
Oh,
That's gonna be
okay.
different.
But
We're talking
yeah,
about-
the ordinance, I would like to have an opportunity to to present to you a comprehensive approach to animal control. I know some cities have a one approach system. I know City of San Antonio does have this system in place with, I've been monitoring San Antonio helping animals, and we have active citizens that are actually identifying themselves. Again, communication is important, but they identify they found a dog, and then they post it, and then somebody goes check, and then they have collaborations between veterinarians. They'll pick the animal up, somebody will approve of picking them up, and then take it to the vet, check for a chip or a tag. So spading, neutering, I mean, it's a complex subject. I have dogs 15 years, they're elderly. I don't expect for them to get out of the yard, but this is sandy loam. So animals do dig out all the time. I saw the expense, $89. Who is going to, going ahead.
We're talking about the city enacting an animal control ordinance.
Right here.
Yeah.
So we have some other things we'll talk about subsequent to that, but this one is very specific to.
Oh, yeah, we
our
need
city.
to act an ordinance, yes. Yes, we do.
And so I read through this, Cassandra, and it looks to me as if this is pretty straightforward from the state code that exists already.
You can look at this
I mean,
one.
I saw where we did put something in here about them being, they have to be spayed or neutered before they can be returned to an owner. But I mean, basically the whole gist of this was pretty much existing
I don't think it was. I think it's
that's
good.
out there already, correct?
But you can look
I
at
took
this.
some
I'm saying that's my job.
Okay.
And then with some of the state codes that were referenced, like the health and safety code, just verify those, but there were some other city models that.
Yeah, I mean, I read through it, and it's a lot of reading. There's a lot of stuff in here, but it really does, I think, address pretty much everything.
Does it address the owners as well?
What do you mean? What?
Well, it addresses the animals.
You mean what the
Well,
owners
there are,
require to do?
yeah, back here in.
I didn't get one in my packet, so I was telling him.
You didn't?
No, I didn't.
Oh, this
Oh, this
one?
is extra. It's
Because
gonna
this
be in
was-
the-
This was,
It'll be
this
loose.
was a late arrival. We were given
Oh,
this today.
okay. I didn't get
Sorry.
the late arrival, that's why I jumped
Sorry.
ahead, sorry.
But yes, there are requirements of the, well, if you go to section 6. So that's going to address people, how they have to care for and deal with the animals, things they cannot do.
Do you have special section for pet bulls for licensing?
No.
I know San Antonio
We
does.
didn't do anything in here about licensing at all.
Okay.
Registration or micro.
Just the treatment of animals.
Yeah, and the thought process was, let's get a handle on the animals first, and we can always amend the ordinance in the future. We don't.
Is there a way to register animals? Is there a way to register animals? So that if you know who the dog belongs to, you don't have to send it over to Selma, you can get a hold of whoever the dog belongs to.
That could be done.
No, that would be.
Licensing,
I mean, you could do it, you wouldn't have to charge a fee for it, because if you charged, they wouldn't register their animals, but
Well, they do, we are requiring that they be vaccinated, so they're vaccinated and they're outside, they have to have their collar and their tag on, so you could track the owner back from there.
that's true.
So I don't know that
If
you
they're,
have to
if they have them.
Well, and if they don't, then,
Because we can always change this if we come.
yeah,
up
we
with-
can always
Yeah.
amend this in the
Oh,
future.
I agree with this,
Yeah.
as far as I'm reading about the treatment of animals.
And one thing that I would like to do is be able to, if an animal is picked up, that we get a picture of it, we post it on our website, let people know if you're looking, this dog, so that they know. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go try and find them, but if they're looking for their animal, it's
I
a
almost
source
did that
for them.
today. Yeah, some lady told me it was okay, the dog belonged down the street. Hello?
So an animal control officer, that would be down the line.
Wait, I didn't hear
Did
that.
Mr. Goodyear-
Capture and impounding of animals.
Animal control
That
officer.
animal control officer is gonna be under the control of the marshal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That is correct, Mr. Gutierrez.
So it would be up to the citizen
Mayor?
if there's an animal,
Yes.
problematic animal.
Animal control
To
is
hold the
under
animal,
the marshal.
the sheriff.
Yes, yeah, because Elmendorf's not going to catch them, they're just going to pick them up.
Right, they have to.
I have a
report
question
it.
about, okay, it says the keeping of any animal defined as livestock under this ordinance in any of the residential areas within the city limits.
There's a definition in
Of
here,
livestock in your
right?
definition.
No, I know what livestock is.
No, I'm saying as it pertains to this ordinance, livestock.
I know what livestock is. That's not what my question. My question about the residential areas. Aren't there some lots that are 3 acres or more?
Within their deeds, they're authorized to have 1 per 3 acres, something like that. It's stipulated in their deeds.
Well, and I do have access to every one of the deeds for every one of the
Section
sections.
of deed restrictions prohibiting livestock. That's why.
There are,
No chickens, no goats.
well, but, so here's the other dilemma. Within Waterwood, there are 72 different deeds. I haven't read them all. I'm hoping they're all pretty much the same. They may vary just a little bit. But Sandy Oaks is bigger than that. And there are larger lots down Priest Road. David, even though he comes into Waterwood, he's not part of Waterwood. His lot's bigger. So there's different deeds, and we have to figure out a way to address this for the city as in its entirety. What I'm thinking is maybe we should amend this in some way to tie it back to the deed.
I would, we can put just a general blanket unless otherwise allowed by, because restrictive covenants or restrictions
Right.
that permit the use, or if it's based on acreage, we can limit it based on the acreage of the lot or the size of the lot.
Right.
However the council wants to approach it. and let us
That
know
might be
the residential
easier.
areas.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because there's some properties on Priest Road and Mathis Road both that are large.
Yeah. And their deed may allow them to do that. But I think there is a state standard that says if you're going to have a horse, you have to have a certain amount of land to
I think
accommodate
that's
that
what
horse.
the deeds do, so,
Have you referenced to feral cats that are registered? Because I have a colony that's registered on Dragon Rock that I look
You have a
over.
feral cat
Colony.
that's registered?
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that?
Call it Cat Coalition. They register.
They
I mean,
came out-
because, you know,
They came
can.
out and talked to us.
Right, so I don't see anything here about that. Do
Yeah,
they
I
have?
didn't see anything in there about that either.
I mean, they're roamers, you know, so,
Yeah,
but,
because what I read in here was that any animal.
Right.
You know, if your cat goes outside, and it needs to have its collar on, it needs to be vaccinated, and
but you do have colonies out here.
You do.
Like San
I mean, I
Antonio
do.
has colonies, but they're real easily identifiable here in our city.
Yeah.
I have at
So-
least 12 in that colony.
Jeez.
That's where spray and neuter come in handy.
Okay, under section 5, vaccination identification requirements, so dogs and cats shall be vaccinated, but a different standard for the common and feral cats, or if registered.
How
It's
do
a
you
catch and release.
Well, how do you identify a cat that's part of a feral community? Just wondering.
They notch the ear.
Yeah, they notch them once they're, you know, but.
That's
Once
how they
they're
do it.
fixed, yeah.
Right,
That's
right.
how they do it.
Right.
Well, I have a cat that lives on my porch, and I had him fixed, and his ear's notched, but he's not feral.
Well, I know, but that's how they,
But they hang together.
may not be
They're-
accurate, but that's kind of how they do it, though.
Like the group is like 10, that they're inseparable. They do roam, but they come back to that lot next to me, you know. So they're easily identifiable because they keep coming back to the same lot.
under, I
You
guess,
can't-
animal nuisance regulations, section 4, item 3, something in there, section 4, registered feral.
No, a 3?
Yeah, item 3 under section 4,
Okay, let's see.
But really, if they don't belong to anybody, who are you gonna find?
Keeping of more than 7 in any combination of dogs, cats, and ferrets above any age 4 months or residential children within city limits, with the exception of registered feral colonies.
Okay, it's section 4, what number is it?
There's no number.
This section.
Oh, right.
Mine doesn't have numbers. Hers doesn't.
Number 3, or, yeah, right here, where it says the numbers, see? And then you could add at the end.
Oh, yeah, we could add,
With the
yeah.
exception of registered feral.
That would be nice, thank you. That would be, I mean, because they are here.
That would not be considered a nuisance.
So which item, right here, number 6?
Section 4.
Number 3?
I'm there.
Number 3.
Number 3, okay. So we're gonna do
That's
accept.
yours. I'm
That's
sorry.
all right, you can write on it.
Registered feral.
Let me just write the section.
You can write on it, it's fine.
Feral cat.
And accepted registered or registrations are from the,
Cat
how
Coalition.
is that defined?
It's the Feral Cat Coalition.
I can double
Actually, I think
check.
it's the San Antonio Feral Cat.
Right, I can check on that.
Yeah, they came and spoke to us at a previous meeting. Okay, that's a good one.
Well,
I'll put something in there.
they've lived longer there than I have.
This ordinance,
I've been there
shall
15
no
years.
way prohibit or any
No, Mike.
restrictions disallowed through property use and covenants.
Yeah, I was wondering where we might put that.
But it's probably just another at the end.
Be a different separate section, just.
And you're gonna have to,
accepting.
you're gonna have to fix the definitions to include whatever covenants or deeds or whatever.
I have a question too, or a comment actually. The keeping of more than 10 in any combination of fowl other than a rooster and small caged animals above the age of 4 months in any residential within the city limits.
I see that falls within the restrictions and covenants, so that's what I'm saying.
Well, but
So-
what about the people that don't have no restriction in their deeds?
Then they're bound by this.
But there are people that live on Priest Road and people that live on Mathis Road that have large properties. Why should they be restricted to 10
And I'm
chickens?
sure their deed restrictions will allow them to do whatever this is.
So
if it's not restricted in their deed,
Right.
does this apply? Or does their not being restricted in their deed apply?
If it's not restricted in their deed, the deed and covenant, I think, will override a city ordinance, I would think, because you
Okay, that
entered
makes
into a
sense.
contract with the
Right.
seller of the property, being the developer. That will override any ordinances that we pass. So just as if we passed a city law, state law would override it as would federal law. So your deed restrictions and deed restrictions and covenants are basically your rules to follow as far as your responsibilities of maintaining your property, be it through your
So if
keeping of
in-
animals, cutting your grass,
Okay,
doing
but
whatever,
say-
we still,
say
all
in
we're
their-
doing is reinforcing those.
But say in their deed, I don't know what the deeds like that look like. I've never read one, never had owned a property like that. If you've got 10 acres, does it say in your deed that?
Mine says no livestock, theirs will not say no livestock if they have 10
Okay.
acres.
Right,
5 acres?
Probably will not, no.
don't know.
No.
But each property has a deed that goes with it.
Okay.
Everyone.
I just don't want to see anybody that's been living on those outskirts and
No.
and invested.
Again, I don't think, it's pretty much spelled out, and mine says, it specifically says that you must have 3 acres to have a horse. So it's not like you got 3 acres, you can have 2 acres.
What large animals were over 2 acres?
That was one or 3. But it's stipulated in there what is not allowed and almost what is allowed as far as the acreage tracts are concerned.
Okay.
If you have a lot within the subdivision or.
Yeah, I got it. Two houses down from me has 2 horses in their backyard.
It says
Yeah.
no livestock.
And they have visitors too.
Yeah.
So it's 10 or
Yeah.
12 at a time.
Yep.
One of the things contained in this ordinance, like the number of animals or cats or dogs, that was just really based on some other similar cities' ordinances. So the council has authority to declare, I mean, whatever is a nuisance for the city itself.
Right.
This is not anything that, yeah, this, I think this is just for
Yeah.
Right.
kind of a draft, so whatever the council sees fit, and I'll just make the changes.
I do think that we need something added in here to address, you know, that these shall apply,
In conjunction with.
something to reference existing deeds and covenants, yeah.
Yeah, and that can just be included as a separate section, as an exception to the entire ordinance based on the livestock for those deeds.
Right. Yes, at the end, I would usually put something that says, you know,
Well, there's.
if any part of this is null and void, it does not,
There's-
yeah. Okay. Okay, so can we approve this or as amended, or we need to wait for the amendment?
You can approve it as amended as long as the amendments are contained in the motion
Okay,
for the ordinance.
well, so we
But
have,
the amendments were quite a few, though.
well, actually, really just two.
Just fine.
One
I
was-
have another, I do have another question.
Well, we weren't finished talking.
Approve it.
I'm not, we're not approving anything. So you're going to add that to the severability clause down here?
It probably would be its own section, exception regarding deed restrictions and identify.
Okay.
Well, if the council wants to have me amend the ordinance, and then it can be considered on the consent agenda for the next time, unless it gets pulled for some reason, so that way you don't have to discuss.
Well, does this affect subsequent actions on the agenda tonight?
I don't think, no, not the amendments that you talked about.
No, the interlocals that are coming.
Yeah, no, not the, yeah. They
Do you
would-
want this? Because I
Okay.
do want it.
Okay.
Do you have an extra
No,
copy?
you can keep it.
I
if you
can't,
want.
okay.
I'll get it.
Since I have so many
Mr. Gutierrez, you have
animals.
something to offer on this subject?
have a suggestion
Here,
on the
here. You need another one. There's one right there.
Ordinances.
Thank you.
What might be a problem with future?
Mine are all 15 years old. They're about to, they're geriatric.
The property does allow big enough
One
to
at a
have say a
time.
horse. How would we know that? Somewhere in that language, maybe possibly say, if I write a citation for it, I don't know it, it's up to the individual homeowner to prove to, say, it's municipal court. They have the ultimate responsibility to show that they are allowed that animal on that property. So if the police department does write a citation on it, it's up to that individual property to show, my deed says, I may have this animal.
Sort of affirmative, like it is an affirmative defense for the.
So that the court can dismiss it based on the deed, when they present a deed to the municipal court saying, I'm allowed a horse, I have enough acreage.
Not this country, Judge. You don't have to prove where it is.
It would help the property, it would help, because how are we going to get that material to the,
Okay.
or the court? How would they get that material? Once I file, I say this guy shouldn't have a horse. How does the city or the court decide? Somebody's gonna have to come to proof. Burden of proof should be on the homeowner.
Okay. I think the affirmative defense language would be.
I think, well,
To.
like I was saying, I've been working with Bear County, and that I have electronic copies of all of the deed restrictions for every section of Waterwood. I can go back to them and get that for the Star Oaks and the Priest Road, so that the city now will have access to all of that. So we would have access to that, and I would doubt that there is a large number of those that would be the exception for livestock. I think the majority of the properties are going to not allow it. So it'd be easy enough to identify the short list, if you will. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
We could just take it a step further and just just put in the ordinance what the limitations are under the city. And because, I think it's tough for the city to enforce deed restrictions. Although any individual within the city can take anyone to court over enforcement of deed restrictions. I could take my neighbor to court if I felt he was not abiding by his deed restrictions, if he was infringing on my rights as a property owner. I think this is done in the past with, who was the individual that, well, there were several that went to court over trash in their yards. So we just need to be careful that we as a city aren't enforcing deed restrictions. We just need to set what the limitations are as to what we're going to allow.
As it pertains to animals.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I think, the word is a little iffy, but we don't want to infringe on deed restrictions and covenants. And so I'm saying this ordinance will not in any way supersede or disallow any restrictions, any deed restrictions or covenants that's related to the ordinance.
Okay, yeah, I'll include that too.
Simple enough. Is that complicated? So I would, are we done with it?
I have a question. On page 16, it says such impounded animals shall be held for a period of 3 days. And then on page 19, it says the animal will be retained for a minimum of 6 days.
I don't have a 19. What section are you?
I have no
She
page
print an old lady print.
I have.
We only have
I
17.
Section 10. It's section 10.
What page?
Section 10.
Section 9.
Section 8
Oh,
is
8.
where it says 3 days.
Section 8, okay.
The last paragraph.
3 days.
It says 3 days. Section 10, it says 6 days.
Section 10. Well, that's on abandonment. That's
3D.
under section for reporting requirements.
But it's still a different number of days the animals will be held.
Selma's only keeping them for 3 days, that's it.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, is,
Or other time designated by the enforcing agency, which would be for the next.
With their rules and regulations, so it's whatever, if we go into the ILA, then that's going to stipulate it. We can change this to 3, so they're both read the same. Too easy. Can we do that?
Yes.
Can we amend that to just read 3 days?
Is
That's
3
what-
days
that's what-
enough, you think?
That's what the, I think that's what
The
the
standard?
guidelines
that's what they, yeah, it's pretty standard.
And that's the state guidelines as well.
That's what's on the.
Are we good?
So I think we have a few things for the attorney to,
Well, I'll make a motion that we accept the ordinance with the amendments as
Yeah.
stipulated. And that way we don't have to go all the way through. I thought it was what we meant.
or do you want them specified?
I know, I have notes, but for the motion purposes, they probably should be specified just.
Feral cat
Do you remember what they all are?
Exceptions of feral cat colonies.
Just read the new.
I make a motion, we accept the ordinance with the following amendments. To include the exception of feral colonies in section 4, item 3.
Is that feral cat colony?
Feral
Yes,
cat
cat.
colonies. She changed on item 10, reporting requirements, and item number 3, section D, we changed to a minimum of 3 days.
Wait a minute, item 10.
Section 10. Section 10.
So section 10.
and 3B. We'll read minimum of 3 days. And another section will be added listing exceptions for deed restrictions. That will mean, well, here.
Okay. You did this on purpose.
I'll do it all over.
Okay, so we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay to accept the ordinance as written with the exception of adding to section 3 to address the feral cat colony, to change section 10, item 3D under reporting requirements to read a minimum of 3 days, and to add a section to address deed restrictions. Do we have a second on that one?
I second the motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Okay, item number 19 on the agenda is discuss and consider an ordinance approving an interlocal agreement with the city of Selma for animal control services. And this was presented by Alderman Tomasini and Alderman Tremblay. So I will hand it off to you, Mr. Tremblay. You want to?
Well, actually, for Selma and Elmendorf are kind of the same
They may
thing.
be, they're similar, but they're two different agreements.
Yeah, but
So we have to
to
discuss
talk
them.
about one, we may have to end up talking about the other one, though. That's why I was saying that.
Well, if you
But-
talk about one, it'll make talking about the
Let's
next
start,
one
let's
easier.
start with the Elmendorf one, seeing how that's the actual
You wanna go that way?
collection of the animals.
Okay, let's do
The other
that.
part is what they're going, what they do with them.
So what we're going to do, we're going to move item 19 to after item 20. And item 20 on the agenda is to discuss and consider an ordinance approving an interlocal agreement with the city of Elmendorf for animal control services. Again, Alderman Tomasini and Tremblay brought this
Well,
forward.
everybody should have a copy of it. Elmendorf's already signed it, so they've agreed to it. We just have to sign it and agree to it ourselves. And basically what it says is that they're going to pick up the stray animals and take them to Selma, because that's where they will be kept, in Selma. Elmendorf isn't going to keep them, they're just going to transport them, is all they're going to do. Now, they're not going to catch animals. They're only going to, I mean, if you have it in your yard or something like that, you know, they'll get it, but they're not going to go chasing after them around in the neighborhood. You know, you got to have it for them somehow. So, you know, we might have to get cages or something, with those traps or something to catch them in, and they'll take them from there. But that's basically what it is. It's just an agreement to transport them to Selma.
I think what we might need to do, though, and I didn't think about this, but we may need to include in here, somewhere in the animal ordinance, somewhere we need to possibly purchase some cages, traps, what have you, to provide to folks in the event that they have nuisance animals getting in their yard or what have you. That way, it's only the owners or the complainant to actually capture the animal, and I believe that's the way it is in the city of San Antonio. And again, the animal control, or the dog catcher, whatever you want to call them, will not go on private property to catch an animal in the city of San Antonio. I think that's probably the same practice that we'll need to follow in our city as well. So we'll need to, and we can address that later. Just thought I'd bring it up.
Yeah, well,
But
that's
as far as this agreement.
But, yeah, this is what they've agreed to. I mean,
Right.
if we want to to trap them ourselves, that's fine, but this is.
They're not gonna trap them.
No.
They're not
Here,
gonna trap
no,
them.
right, that's what I'm saying. Once we,
We have to
if we
contain
have
them.
an individual who traps
It's
an
up
animal,
to
so what-
individual citizen having the problem to contain the animal.
It's an option.
Yes.
And then-
Still, I mean, but, and, would you like to come up and join this conversation?
I don't think that the dog, if we have an animal control officer in the city, they're not gonna want to be running all through people's property
no.
daily chasing
No,
animals.
but you have to consider, let's say that a call comes in from an elderly or disabled person who can't physically go out and do that. Somebody within the city, under Marshall's department, I'm assuming, an animal control officer would be in a position to do that. We're making the cages an option. If somebody's calling saying, I've got dogs, they show up here, they're not here right now, but they come here, and we could offer a trap of some sort. I mean, does that work?
That works. Right now, the city of Floresville, you can go by City Hall, pay the appropriate fee to borrow the trap. The city will stop by, deposit said trap, you have to bait it, and then when the animal's captured, the city will come and remove the
So
trap.
we'll need to look into that. But this agreement as it stands, I mean, this
5 years is a long
Did you have an
time.
opportunity to look at this one?
Yes.
5
Okay.
years is a long
I
time
have,
For
actually
what?
have the originals for you.
Oh,
for
okay.
a contract.
You brought it?
No, it's just
No,
1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just 1
No,
year.
actually, the one with Selma says 5.
So the city will be paying say it's a stray, somebody contains it, picked up from Elmendorf and taken to Selma. So of course, if it's a stray and not owned, unwanted, then we will pay for the disposal of the dog? Or the dog, right? I mean, for the, demise?
That's on the next
That's,
paper.
yeah, that's,
Oh.
Yeah, that's the next one.
because there's 2 different places doing
We're
it.
just dealing with transporting.
I am going to give you a comprehensive plan.
Yeah, this-
I know we need this, but I have a better way to do this.
The fee to Elmendorf would be $32 per animal.
To transport.
Transport, and then it's the 89 if the owner pays
That's
it.
the next one.
Oh.
Yeah, when they take it, it's
That's
a
a
different fee, and
different-
it
it's
could
a
be
different
less
thing.
than that, it just
Yeah.
depends. So if we're all in agreement on this part, we can move on to the next one. Or
This
if you
is-
wanna-
this
I
is
see it's
another-
necessary, but I definitely am going to have something else in place to offer you, so,
Well, we're dealing with just
Yeah,
this
I know.
agreement that, for transportation. So,
As far as the private property you're talking about, that's in the ordinance, the nuisance ordinance.
Is it in
just
there?
about- Yes,
Okay.
about going in private property unless, I think there was an exception, unless it was a very violent dog or if it was.
we had 2 dogs, incident this week where one pit bull was, enticed by his owner to fight the next door neighbor's dog, so.
that's addressed in the ordinance, that's what we also do.
Mhm.
Okay. So this becomes executed upon our dating and signing this?
Yes, and she has,
She has the original.
Miss
Yeah, the
Ortiz has.
You have that one back then?
Any more questions?
Okay, so that is the interlocal agreement
This is
for
for
Elmendorf.
transportation of strays. Right.
Okay. Somebody like to
I'm gonna make a motion. We-
Oh,
I'm-
I didn't know you were asking for that. I'm sorry. Yes, I'll make the motion that we approve it, accept it.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have first by Alderman Thomasini to accept the interlocal agreement with the city of Elmendorf for transportation of animals. We have a second by Alderman Tremblay. Do we have any additional discussion?
Well, just to let people know that they're not going to do that right now, so you can't call them up right now. We still have to do some more stuff.
I will establish a communication system so they'll
Yes.
know because their animals are their best friends, right?
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, we'll go back to number 19. This would be discuss and consider an ordinance approving an interlocal agreement with the city of Selma. Again, Alderman Thomasini and Tremblay.
Well, again, you should have a copy of that ordinance and the interlocal agreement also. And they have not signed it yet, I don't believe.
They're signing it January 14th is our next meeting.
Okay. So,
This was, it's the same From my understanding, it's the same agreement that they use with Elmendorf. But since they haven't signed or considered it, if you'll have counter proposals, then tonight, then we can do that and.
Well, can we approve it first? I mean, does it matter who approves it first?
No, we can approve it first.
Yeah.
And then present it to them for their meeting on the
And
14th?
then just like Elmendorf did to us with original signatures. You know, I don't know if they'll have any changes. They,
Right.
when I talked to them, they didn't have any changes. So that it was the city administrator.
Right.
But it's, since it's the same Elmendorf one, I kind of, it came from them, so I can imagine, or I don't know what they would want to change.
And this is the one that has the $98 you were talking about.
Here.
You want to go through it real quick, Doug?
Well, it's basically pretty simple. It just says that they're going to take the animals that we have for a $98 fee. And they keep them for 3 days or 72 hours, whatever you want to call it. And let's see what else. That's pretty simple.
So the $98 is being charged for each dog?
Yes.
From Selma to Elmendorf?
Mhm.
No, from Selma to us.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the citizens are going to pay for the disposal of these stray
Yes.
animals?
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And we have it in our budget, we approved a budget.
Well, I'm a hippie. I'm going to try and defer some type of other services maybe for later, but I know this is needed. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
this doesn't have to be the only policy.
Option, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be the only one.
Is this
See, again, like I say, this is one of the.
Pretty simple.
This is the closest,
One of the loudest
this is the
things that people have
closest,
been-
yeah, this is the closest that you could find.
Yeah, it's the only one, really.
Oh,
that-
really? Okay.
Yeah.
The calls are, it's.
The
every
county
day.
uses the city, and the city is not taking any more contracts from any more places to take dogs, is what they told me. So this is it.
So, question for you. They're only going to pick up live animals, correct?
That's a good question. I would imagine,
According to this, yes.
yeah.
Okay. So we still have to deal with the.
Well, Tiger does some disposal.
Tiger said they would
He
do-
said that, you know, I know, but
Maybe we can talk to them
Let's
about.
scoop it up.
Elmendorf told me that they have a separate dumpster that they put dead animals in.
Yeah.
And Tiger does take them. It's separate. So I'll.
Well, they said that they would do that.
They,
So, if
Tiger said
somebody
they
wants-
would provide one to the city for no fee, so
Yeah.
maybe that's what we need to do.
And if somebody wants to go out with a shovel and
I do a lot of that.
pick one.
I'm too old.
I got a week's notice.
And, well, I guess if it's.
Jesse.
Me?
Shovel and a mask.
Animal disposal officer.
Is there training for animal disposal officer?
All right, want to make the motion that we enter
Yes.
the ILA with the city of Selma?
Yes, I'll second the motion.
What happened is that? Okay, Alderman Quigley has made a motion to enter into the interlocal agreement with Selma. Do we have a second?
Yes, I'll second. I'm sure
Alderman
everybody
Quigley,
would.
Alderman Thomasini has seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're making progress, people. Okay. where'd my agenda go? There it is. Okay, these next ones will go quickly. Item 21, we're going to discuss and consider contracting an auditor to prepare the annual comprehensive annual financial report. I brought this one forward because it's my understanding as part of the
It's required.
CDBG grant, one reason, but state code, I think, is another reason. We have to have an annual audit done, even though we don't have much, we haven't done much, we still need to do that. So I did some checking, made a few phone calls, couldn't get anybody to call me back. What I'm thinking is that we post on the TML site, because it's an organization called GFOAT, and I can't read, it's something about government finance, blah, 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 blah. And that's what they do. They work with cities and municipalities and government agencies doing audits. And it's a separate kind of accounting standards than what you would have in your commercial world, which is GAAP. They have something totally different. But everything that I found through that organization kind of pointed back to TML. So I think that's probably what we should do, is make a posting on the TML website, or whatever their job ad or whatever that is, to see if we can get an auditor, contract for an auditor to do an audit for us.
Charlotte.
You'll need a
pretty
job,
much-
well, would you need a job description for that, or just?
No, I think that if we say we need an auditor and what we need them for, isn't that
Kind of pretty.
That's pretty.
Okay.
For auditing services, you don't need to do any type of RFQ or
No,
RFP,
I don't think
but
so.
if you do want to have qualifications of how that firm is going to be selected, you can just include that. Or you can do it open-ended, like you said.
So just
kinda make
do it
easy.
open-ended with
I
no,
would-
no
I would
date
say-
to,
Yeah.
no ending date?
We need an ending date.
Yeah, we need an ending.
Oh, yeah, I meant as far as the qualifications, I
Oh.
would keep it open.
Yeah.
But
I would think posting for 30 days would probably be
Okay.
sufficient. And I mean, we're so small, we don't have, it's a very easy thing for somebody to do for us, but it is something that needs to be done, yeah. So anyway, that's what the purpose of that one on the agenda is for. Is this something we need to have a motion on?
It's just instruction, or who would post it, the clerk?
Charlotte, you can, if you want. Okay, so that was number 21. Okay. All right, item 22. Discuss and consider posting on the TML for applications to fill the city clerk position and the qualifications for the city clerk position. So before everybody gets all excited about this, Charlotte and I have talked about it. This job has turned into a big job.
In fact, you have to check, I think it should be a city manager or city administrator. I don't think it should
Well,
be a
we
city.
have to have, I think we have to have a city secretary as a position anyway, right?
I think so.
I think we do, because the city administrator is really more for home rule as opposed to type A, from what I understand.
Well, no, you can have a city administrator for type A. City clerk is just necessary to handle with the day-to-day open records.
Okay.
So advertise for a city clerk?
Necessary position.
Yes, and in addition to that, Charlotte and I did talk about this, and since the council has approved a budget to pay for the position, we felt it only right that it should be something that we open up through an application process to get qualified candidates for. So we need to define what those qualifications need to be.
I said I would stay until we had a building to move into. I don't think it should be moved to somebody else's house.
No, should not be moved. Yes.
So once you have a building, then and I think it needs to be somebody who knows what they're doing.
Well,
You know?
none of us know what we're doing. We're learning as we go.
Well, if Charlotte's going to stay until we have a building,
You never know when that could happen.
I know. But if you put it on there now and somebody says, yes, I want the position, and they're very well qualified, and we don't have a building.
And we don't have a building for them.
Yeah. Then we go, wait.
To move all the records.
Wait.
That's a very valid point. You're
As soon as you get the building, you could probably advertise that day, and that probably would.
Okay, well, then can we just pull this one from the agenda? Okay.
So that'll be one of the first things you do once you secure a place is.
Okay, so we pulled that one and we'll put it on a future. Okay, item 23, discuss and consider approving the policy manual for the marshal office. I know that Mr. Gutierrez has provided that to the city attorney, and I know she's reviewed it and made some notations, not about substance as I understand it, but more about numbering, sequencing, and clarification on some fine points in the, I guess it was really more of the table of contents and how it relates to some of the different sections. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, this policy manual pretty much is what it is. It's not for the council to amend certain sections of it. It's
Not well, it's really how Jesse wants to run the office, as long as there was no kind of discrimination or illegal arrest type of language in it. I mean, the council can make some amendments to it if there's something that it doesn't like, but
Is that, yes, you want us to, or
legally
yes, we
left in the
can?
Whatever needs to be done.
Okay. So it's not it is able to be amended going forward?
the amendments can also always be either by council, or if Jesse needs to bring an amendment forward. They can always be amended in the future.
Was there anything
More updates?
significant in there that you had an issue with?
No, the only thing, I don't know if I included this, was there was notations about or someone acknowledging that they had accepted and read the policies, but I didn't see any signature page for that. And some forms that were identified that.
Oh, forms that still need to be created.
Okay, that's why, like, those type of things. But I don't know if you need those for the purpose of approval by the state, or.
No.
So, but even just having those included in the policy whenever an office is finalized and represented to deputies, having those types of things to help with the consistency.
So really, the policy manual is not yet complete. We're not ready to present it to the state.
I think he said he didn't need those type of forms. So that's
Okay.
Well, those forms can't get recreated. It's
It was like the evidence form,
an evidence form.
Yeah.
That's too far in the future. So that's going to be temporary.
Each city has its own evidence form. It's not a standard form.
Yeah, statewide standard or something.
There's not necessarily a statewide standard on that.
Really? I think it being a legal document, it would be the same here as it would be in.
The only thing that's on there that needs to be on there is what is it, the serial number, and a description. When the police departments hand evidence over to, say, the Bear County Drug Examiner's Office, you have to describe what it is
I
exactly.
understand, but isn't that
That's
the
it.
same form that's utilized throughout the state?
I've seen them vary.
Really?
I have seen
It's
them
basically the same information, it's just different
how it's how it's
format, basically.
formatted, where stuff is on the
Yeah.
And on
But
the
it's
formatting,
basically the
where
same.
is it basically, is it like a letterhead stamp that says it's the city of San Diego, or it's the city of Elmendorf evidence form?
Well, there's a letterhead, but then there's, what is it? Your name, your title.
I understand, those are just fill in the block. I mean, they're fillable forms.
We don't have a, there isn't an evidence room. I don't know how big or small
Right,
it is,
we're
so I
talking
don't
about
know
the
how we're, being A, box one,
Oh, got it.
Stuff like that.
That's lockers.
Location of the where it's stored on.
how it's stored, where it's stored. Is it electronic, is it physical? That's stuff I can't answer yet.
So,
I was thinking we could generate a form.
They're different.
well, we
Where it's stored,
can.
stored, you put where it's stored.
And we can always revise the forms later.
Right.
It's not a big deal. I'm just wondering if perhaps we could go to Bear County Sheriff, if they would give us a sample of kind of what they do and let us use that as a model.
And whenever something available at the state attorney general's website. It's,
You think it's there?
it's the way it
I'm
should.
already using these forms with another department.
Well, there you
I can
go.
rewrite that, it's just,
Right.
the language has to be in there.
Right.
That was another thing. Form stuff would be great, the language had to be in. I could just borrow it, throw a letterhead on it, it's done.
And it wasn't
Okay.
for approval of the policy purposes, it was really once the manual's given to the deputies or anybody with the marshal's office, so that way they know what forms to use and
Right.
they've acknowledged that. So not anything
That we're doing.
prohibit council to
Right.
take action on that.
So I think that's what we're getting at.
If anyone here on the council has not had an opportunity to read it,
If the manual has to be submitted to the state for your,
Certain
I didn't
sections.
copy it.
Only
Like
arrest
electronic.
procedures and use of force,
okay?
not the whole.
So we have
just
that.
1 through the 4 sections.
So we have that, so we can proceed with that.
Yes.
I think we're trying to get you.
we're trying to get you up and running.
I can't remember, but I believe there was only 3 or 4 sections, big ones like the race, search, and seizure, things of that sort. Not small administrative things like forms, do they need? So,
We did a lot of work on this, a lot of work. So, what is our action item on this agenda item?
To approve the policy manual.
Just to approve the policy manual as amended for, I mean, the items that you put in there, or just go ahead and approve it as is, and then
As
it's a
submitted.
working document going forward, or?
You can approve it as is, as a work, because my suggestions were really just administrative, clerical issues, or that.
Yeah, I know it had some
didn't affect
typos
the-
and some,
Yeah.
where does this go?
Yeah.
And some numbering issues that.
We'll work with you on that.
Yeah, but if that wasn't.
I couldn't correct because I couldn't see it immediately, where I needed help with that.
Yeah, the second as well is good, but.
Right.
So nothing substantive or anything that, I guess as far as those sections that would have to go to state for approval, didn't affect that.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the policy manual for the marshal office?
Who made the motion?
Pardon?
Who made the motion?
I'm asking for
Oh,
a motion.
I thought you said-
Nobody's done it
I thought you
yet.
said we had, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the policy manual for the marshal's office.
Okay, we have a motion from Alderwoman Gillespie to approve the policy manual for the marshal office. Do we have a second?
I second.
Alderwoman Tanguma has seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item 24 is to consider an ordinance approving the tax roll for 2015 as required by Property Tax Code, Section 26.09E. And Cassandra's been fairly diligent about bugging me on these. And the documents finally showed up, most of the documents showed up, but not everything. And I think, was it Charlotte that did it, or they got the final letter we needed here from Mr. Uristes?
Just got a new one on that.
We have 2 letters here. One addressed to Mr. Ernest Gay, dated November 5th. And it's a summary of the values and levies taken from the initial tax rolls for the city of Sandy Oaks. And it says here, the tax code requires the tax rolls to be approved by the taxing unit's governing body. Please notify this office at your earliest convenience when the tax roll is approved by your governing body. So we did get that information, and with the tax roll statement. And you know what I don't have is a copy of my budget that, to compare it to what this is in the budget. I don't know that it's relevant to you. Should probably revisit that.
What you don't need to approve though is the November 17th letter, and this, you don't need to approve for this.
Oh, we don't have to do this?
Just the November 5th letter with the taxable statement and the electrification to use light solar as actual ordinance.
Okay. Actually, these numbers are a little bit higher.
Is this just so that we can have an estimate of what the value is? Is that basically what this
This is
is?
what the final estimate from the counties was after all the protests and exemptions.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we put the tax roll with certified by the tax assessor clerk.
So we have a motion on the floor by Alderman Conway to approve the ordinance approving the tax roll for 2015. We have a second.
I'll second.
Alderman Thomasini, seconded. Any additional discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We have one final
Yeah, it's the
order of
longest
business.
one we've ever done.
Item 25.
Say it.
Motion
Can I
to,
get a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn.
Jeez.
Motion to adjourn. Oh, I gotta go back.
Aye.
Second it.
Everybody, I know
I've
it
been
was
waiting here.
long, but it was
Okay, thanks.
mine too.
Okay, you can see. Is your folder
Yes.
Honorable Ball. Is there an extra copy? Because I really just.
Of the manual?
Yeah.
Okay, and city council members, yes, yes, yes. You are entered.
We got broken good tonight.
You may have this.
Is there one of those, is there another one of those maps?
Yeah, you figured we were still going?
I figured you still were gonna be here. Hi,
You
good to see you. So, Lord, I see you
How
have a
did
full
y'all-
house.
How are
Hi,
you?
Sylvia Mendelson with Commissioner
Karen
Rodriguez
Tangoma, thank you.
office. Going good. This is my fourth meeting today, so I've been all over.
Were you downtown this morning?
I was.
At Commissioner's Court?
I was.
I was there.
Oh my gosh. Like we got
I
some
was there, I
bars.
got them at
So we got
10:30.
broken good.
Oh,
We
yeah.
did. I fell asleep when we talked about animals and I woke up.
So they were.
We got a what one?
No, mine are all the dogs are 13 to 15 years old. I have one dying right now, so they're old and I'll probably get any more, but I feel sorry for the streets. So I'm gonna work on making a little.
And there's nothing to stop people from trapping them and finding homes for them.
I know, and I said, we need to find out who our animal people are out there, but see, I'm gonna do the communication thing. And she said, go to Dollar General and see if we can put a firewall. They have never called me back, so I've been trying to find a place to put, newsletters, because I'll do the newsletter. I've done them over and over again. So if I can get a newsletter out, then we can start, because we only have like 100 people on Facebook. But we could start there. I think we do have an animal. Because what I noticed, I've been watching San Antonio's little Facebook groups, how they operate, and they say, oh, they're real organized. So I think we should try something because people are going to do that. If you're, I mean, it's a logical thing to do. You had a dog 15 years, I mean, of course, they're not moving out of the room, they're old, but if you have one of those younger ones that, soft,
Yeah.
they're gonna always.
Oh, and I've got one that she's 13, she still is bigger.
Oh, she is?
She doesn't go outside more than 5 or 10 minutes.
Before she can dig out.
And my yard is double, my property's double fenced, so she digs out of the one yard, she's still continuing.
Well, I got all sorts of fences, and I put fences under the ground.
Yeah.
That gives them a lot to do, you know.
I did have her,
Gotta take my chair.
Good idea which families you can identify. Because we'll have about 800.
Well, that was interesting. I don't know everything about it, but what I knew about, I tried to say something about it. The signs are important, that's what. Let's see.
I'm giving this to you, dear. Don't give one to me.
And I'll have you get with the signatures, because a lot of those dates are wrong.
I'd like to go to bed off when I
Okay,
get
and
home.
then,
I'd like to go to bed off when I get
all the
home.
minutes and ordinances, it's gonna be signed, I want a really short.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to short it.
Well, no, not that, I want to shorten the time.
Oh, okay.
From we approve it, it's done, signed.
You know what we need to do is we need to get some, like, you want this date, you want to stuff it where put on your, this is the last date. This is when we want the.
Well, once we have something, I want it signed and posted.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
okay, yeah, because I'm
Merry
not.
Christmas, both of you.
Oh, you too.
Merry Christmas.
I'm sorry. Pardon me, ma'am.
We need to disassemble here.
Oh, I also think
So I need to sign it. Okay, I need a blue pen, I guess. I'm not sure what's good.
Here's one.
Put in, expand his business or whatever. We're supposed to, you wanted everybody, you wanted to look at these, he just dropped them all.
For the egg pumps and stuff.
Yeah.
I saw Cody today.
Yeah, he's gonna do that.
I heard that, now what is this?
I do not want it.
Oh, wait.
They had a hard time doing that last time. People that.
Where'd these come from?
No, the guy that's doing the Valero, that wants to do the Valero, he came in and dropped them off before the meeting started. Yes,
The Bolero? That's not how that works. That's not how any of this works.
Oh, Mickey, do you have the sign-in sheet? Do you have the sign-in sheet?
I gave it to you.
Okay, okay.
Oh, no, it's not the sign it, but
The sign up, the citizen sign?
Yeah, it
Okay.
should, right there.
Right there, okay, yeah.
If we want him to come in and talk about it, he just wanted to make sure.
He's got to come in and get a code.
Well, yeah, that's why he brought the plan. No, we told him that
This is the Bolero,
we
right?
had to have an engineer look at it, so that's what he brought.
I'm gonna go move my car up so we can just take that right out
Do
front.
we disconnect wires or anything?
No, actually, no, just stick it, yeah, that makes it easier when you're taking it out.
And my little bitty Ford Focus, and I'm like, holy cow.
warranty at 30 to 60% less than other window companies. Our award-winning windows can save you up to 35% on your energy bill and give you a more comfortable home year-round. Call Window World today and see why thousands of homeowners have made us the #1 home improvement company in the USA. Shop around, but before you pay too much, call Window World at 767-0995. At Window World, we don't just stand behind our windows, we stand on them.
Hi, this is Jimmy Schaefer with Schaefer Services Plumbing and Air Conditioning. And now, home improvements. That's right, home improvements. You see, it's only natural we do them. We see so much damage done to houses.
I think this is Charlotte's.
Right?
See what? Oh, maybe it's his. Is this yours? No, that's Charlotte's, right?
Yeah, that's Charlotte.
Yeah.
Where did I park? Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah. You say tomorrow evening, Ernie?
I hope so.
Okay.
Like I say, I'm out right now.
Okay.
Whatever they lay tomorrow, I may have a dozen for you.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness, Charlotte. Is this the limo service?
I was carrying that box for that, well, actually, I was pulling up on the side and just unloading it.
Then you go, why am I doing that? Yeah.
Jesse's gonna bring it for you.
I got a lot of
Good night.
3 hours.
Where's the store?
I can't believe Cassandra made it 3 hours without him.
Oh, wow. True.
I know, I almost didn't make it. I was sitting here going, I can wait just a little bit longer.
That's amazing.
Well, here she goes.
Thank you so much.
It's not time.
She was pregnant until just a little while ago.
She's due January.
You're doing January? You didn't get up once and pee?
That's what we were just talking
You
about.
made it 3 hours without having to pee.
I was about to say, you got the pins on, don't you?
For meetings, I always try to monitor my water intake.
Right.
So,
Holy cow. This woman's got to be wearing Depends. Something's going on. She's got some...
Risk-free plus free shipping. Call 800-801-4500. Viviscal nourishes thinning hair from within. You'll love your hair growth results, guaranteed. Viviscal is...
You hear that, kid? That's the home of a well-run facility. You know what I hate hearing? Silence. Silence on a production line means downtime. Downtime means wasted time. Wasted time means wasted money. Silence isn't golden, kid. It's deadly. That's why I love Grainger. With a wide variety of the latest products, Grainger gets us what we need when we need it to help keep this place up and running and humming away. Get it? Got it? Good. Call clickgrainger.com or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Donald Trump's brand has been tarnished in some places, particularly in the Middle East, but plenty of wine lovers, it seems, want Trump in their cellar. Correspondent Jim Krasula has the story.
There's been a 300% increase in business at Trump Winery near Charlottesville, Virginia. Local wine store owner Robert Harley is selling the wine even though he doesn't like Trump's politics.
We're here to provide things that people ask for, so that's why we keep selling it, even if my personal view was to fire him.
Trump wines have won several awards and have been featured in recent national magazine articles. The general manager of the winery says the operation is in no way political. Jim Krasula, CBS News.
The winery is owned by Trump's son, Eric. Some good news for a change about American schools. The Education Department says the high school graduation rate is up to 82%. There are wide disparities, though. The graduation rate in Iowa is 91%. It's 30 points lower in Washington, D.C. I'm Bill Whitney, CBS News.
Hey, it's Trey Ware. If you're active military, retired military, or veteran looking to buy or refinance a home, there's only one person you should be talking to about a mortgage, and that's Pat Fitzgerald at Guild Mortgage Company. Why Pat Fitzgerald? First of all, he's the #1 Texas vet loan officer awarded by the Texas Land Commissioner for the past 7 years. No one can touch his expertise because VA and Texas vet loans are all he does. Second, when you're buying something that can cost many thousands of dollars, you want to speak to someone in person. I know I would. Finally, I've sat across from Pat in his office, and he listens to all of your concerns. You'll get the answers you need face-to-face, the lowest interest rates available, and he can close your loans more quickly, usually within 30 days. So call it right now, 215-4400. Pat, anything you want to say?
Trey, I always say it doesn't cost a penny to talk. So please call me right now at 215-4400, and I'll answer all your questions.
Guild Mortgage at 14100 San Pedro Avenue, Suite 210, an equal housing lender, NMLS 3274.
Hi, we're Oscar. Smart, simple health insurance. We wanted a health insurance company that works better, so we built one.
And they sure did. Hey, it's Sean here for Oscar Health, the easy-to-navigate health insurance company. Better care, lower costs. Their plans are easy to understand and designed to be personal. Oscar Health offers over 75 free preventative services, free generic drugs on most plans, no referrals to see a specialist. Hey, if you're sick, you never have to leave your home with Oscar. They offer a free doctor to call 24/7, 365 days a year to get advice and a prescription phoned in for you right then and there. You can even send a picture to the doctor if necessary. Oscar uses technology, data, and design to make it easy for you. A member service team is available 7 days a week to answer questions. And depending on income, you may qualify for reduced pricing, lowering your monthly cost. Get a free quote in under a minute at hioscar.com or holaoscar.com in Spanish. Now sign up by the December 15th deadline to be covered on January 1st. Go to hioscar.com now or holaoscar.com in Spanish. We'll be so glad you did.
Dana Lash is off and running, generating the buzz. So great to talk to you, Dana. You're my favorite. Dana, you and I are blood brothers in the American dream. Dana Lash, the conservative alternative. This is the Dana Show.
Good afternoon to you. We're watching this story right now concerning the LA public school system. They're having a press conference right now, and you had the threat, and you've had a number of law enforcement officials speak, because this morning, and the way I understand it, as the kids were on their way to school, there was what they call a credible bomb threat. The New York Times said it was emailed, but apparently someone called a school board member. And all of this stuff is still really fluid, and we're going to bring it to you as we get developments. But all of the Los Angeles public schools are closed today after this threat was called in. LAPD confirmed that early this morning, about 8 a.m. Central Time. And usually this was apparently like somebody had called this into a board member. And there were two, though, last week, if you remember, there were two bomb threats that were phoned in that turned out to actually be real. One was another was in Tacoma near an elementary school where they actually found bombs. And then another one was at a Vicksburg middle school. So they said that because of, past situations, they are taking it very seriously, but they closed all campuses, all 900 campuses are to be searched. They're going to go through every single one of these campuses and search every single one of these campuses. Now, they said that the Los Angeles Times reported that it's a credible threat, is how they're describing it, of violence, and it involves backpacks and packages left at LAUSD campuses. And Ramon Martinez, who is the superintendent, said, I think it's important to take